Okay, hopefully we are live. Good evening, it is Mike here, Mike's Unboxing Reviews and How To. It is Saturday the 1st of February 2025 and I actually remembered it without having to look at a watch or any other device. Hopefully you can hear and see me. If you can, let me know in the chat there. Good evening and welcome everybody, especially those that are early doors. Good to see you all in the chat this evening. Got some interesting things to go on with tonight. Let's just see if you can actually hear me first of all. Mic is live. Yeah, looks like it. Unless I'm not sure if I'm live, everything looks good. All good, no issues. Excellent stuff. Let's have a look on the overhead camera. Yeah, that appears to be excellent as well. Stream desktop, I don't really care about that anyway, so that's fine. As long as you can hear. So, glad to be back. Sorry about last week. Technical difficulties, as is always the way these days. There may be some technical difficulties tonight as well. I've just had to swap out the processor in the streaming rig from the Ryzen 7 7700 to the 7700X, which that processor still upsets me massively. The 7700X I bought when it pretty much came out from Amazon, and I'm sure I paid some ridiculous amount for it, probably getting on towards, I don't know, I seem to think it was around about £300 plus, but it might have been even more than that. I'm not entirely sure. I daren't look at my my sales history because that processor, it's been one of those things which I never liked using. The X series processors always bother me because they always seem to just run straight towards the red line at 95 degrees. That bothers me immensely. I like to have quiet fans on my PC. Anyway, actually I'm going to look on my my Amazon sales history because that's going to annoy me if I don't. I need to know how much I paid for it. I know I got a bit of a deal because it was a used one which was returned, and I thought, wow, you never see those, especially like towards launch day. So I'm gonna have a look. Where are orders? How do you use these apps? Your orders, there we go, see all. Search orders, and let's put in 7700. Let's put an X on the end, just to be on the safe side. Right, AMD Ryzen trademark 7700X desktop processor. Hey Dave, let's view order details. Don't drink my drink. Dave, don't drink my drink. Right, I wasn't too far off. So originally I think the processor was retailing for £350 or £360. And I paid £307.25. Although saying that, it says the order total was £192. Let's have a look. Download invoice. Is that going to work? Download documents. Is it going to show me it? Oh, there we go. God, that's tiny text. So yeah, £307.25 I paid for that processor, which absolutely pained me at the time. It really did. Anyway, that's enough of that. So, obviously I've replaced that processor ages ago with the Ryzen 7 7700 from AliExpress, which cost me about 150 with the sales taxes. So, arguably a better processor because it doesn't run so damn hot, and almost exactly half the price. Hence why it was in the rig for so long. But then I thought, well, I've got the 7700X, I might as well use the damn thing. So I've taken the 7700 out to potentially, hopefully, go into tonight's build, which is going to be an interesting one. So to get straight into the kind of the meat of what tonight's video is supposed to be all about, which hopefully it will be, you never know. Dave, get your head out of the way.
You're making Slim Boy go all silly, David. What are you doing?
Sorry, I do apologise. Dave is somewhat of a tart. You allowed to say that? Is that politically correct these days? Dave, go. Anyway, right. This tonight's build is supposed to be using this. So this is new out from ASRock. This isn't sponsored, or they haven't sent me or anything like that. This was purchased from our own money, from the gracious donations that you guys make in watching the videos, etc. So this comes out of the funds. ASRock's new B850M-X WiFi. This was an incredible bargain. on AWDIT here in the UK, and you can see it for similar prices elsewhere. This was £115, which for a brand new chipset on the market, this has only been out about a month, I think, if that. Incredible value for money. Micro ATX motherboard. It's got built-in PC. Dave, get your head out of the way. Gosh darn it.
What are you doing, Dave?
I do apologise, viewers. Dave's in the way.
What's this?
It's fine. All right. Anyway.
See.
So, built-in PCI Express Gen 5 support on the M.2 slots. You've got built-in PCI. Got built-in Wi-Fi 6E. Also Bluetooth, all the usual stuff on there. Reasonable all-round board. Again, for 115 quid, you really shouldn't expect much, but this is basically everything you need to build yourself a nice gaming PC without spunking an absolute ton of cash on a motherboard which has got basically stuff that you're probably never going to use, like Thunderbolt 4 or a diagnostic debug light which gives you the LCD digits rather than just a couple of lights. It has got a diagnostic D-LED on it, not the digital one, just the LEDs. So in terms of basically covering all the bases, it's absolutely fine. Reasonable amount of USB ports, onboard ports for onboard graphics if you're using like a 8600G or something. The ports on here, weirdly, both of the display ports, or DisplayPort and HDMI, both support up to 4K 120Hz. Which I thought was actually pretty decent. So if you want to use it as a kind of little small form factor PC build, you can use the onboard graphics and actually still play some reasonable games or watch movies in high definition at potentially high frame rates. Although movies you probably don't want to watch at high frame rates because they look awful. Anyway, you get the general idea. I'm pretty stoked with this. It seems like a really nice board. For 115 quid, I think it's very hard to argue with that sort of price. Most of the B850 motherboards, I'll tell you what, getting used to saying B850 is really, is just, well, I'll probably say it wrong numerous times, so I apologise in advance. Most of the other boards on the market supporting the AMD B850 chipset are in and around the sort of 150 to 200 plus. So to get this board for £115, including shipping, I thought was fantastic value for money, so I couldn't resist it. And in light of recent goings on, such as mad price increases everywhere, the potential tariffs kicking in, scalping going on, and just generally PC parts getting just ridiculously expensive, spiraling out of control, I figured, why not just go back to our roots and start doing things a little bit more on the cheap side? Kath thought as well.
As well?
We did. I'm honestly getting pissed off with all these super expensive motherboards which offer basically no real generational gains over their predecessors. It's depressing, it really is. I'm getting very despondent. It's just a really bad time for the PC industry. And as most of you have seen this week, the new GeForce cards have come out from Nvidia and they basically suck and are ridiculously expensive. And due to the sculpting of those cards, all the previous generation cards seem to be getting sculpted as well. So overall, it's just a bad time on the PC gaming market for pretty much everybody. Unless you seem to have like a very wealthy benefactor who wants to just bequeath you all of these expensive things. For normal everyday folk like me and you lot watching out there, stuff like this is the holy grail. It really is. Getting a decent bargain on a nice little motherboard sets the stage for a really nice build where you don't feel guilty for buying stuff. Let me know in the chat. Do you sometimes feel guilty when you buy yourself a nice board or a nice graphics card or a nice CPU? Do you think to yourself, shit, I paid way too much for that? Be honest. I think most of us at some point have been at that point, if not all the time. Anyway, let me know what you think. So this is a great board. I'm very pleased with it. I'm not always a huge fan of ASRock products, I'll be honest. The BIOSes and the fan control and their RGB software is absolutely horrendous. But something which ASRock have done now and other manufacturers seem to be doing is they are fully going kind of all in on Signal RGB. So this motherboard is 100% compatible with Signal RGB and it has the Signal RGB certification on it. So if you don't want to use ASRock software, which I'd probably suggest you don't, Signal RGB will work with this straight away out of the box, which I think is excellent. And yeah, hopefully other companies will follow suit. And maybe, you never know, Signal RGB might even become the de facto RGB software sooner or later. Maybe it will, maybe it won't. I don't know. Anyway, so there you go. That's the motherboard we're going to be using. The processor we've already seen, the 7700, which is about 150 quid, or at least it was. A little bit dearer now. So for kind of under £300 for a motherboard and a pretty strong processor, this is a nice little start to the setup. RAM-wise, nothing too elaborate. Again, going with more of our kind of traditional routes of trying to get things which make sense financially, but still do the job. Tonight we're going to be using the Crucial OC RAM. This is their DDR5 Pro kit from Crucial. 32 gigs, DDR5, 6000 mega transfers. Not the fastest timings, only CL36, but if you want to mess around with it and you want to tighten the timings up, that's entirely up to you. But this is actually pretty inexpensive at the moment. Somewhere in around about the £80 mark for a 32 gig kit, which I think is pretty good. It's almost on par with DDR4 these days. So yeah, not bad at all. And if it's on sale, you might find it a little bit cheaper as well. So pretty decent stuff. Realistically, DDR5 RAM, kind of 5600, 6000, 6400, all of it is absolutely fine. You don't need to buy faster RAM. And in fact, for the AM5 platform, it's actually detrimental because it's unlikely you're going to get it to work. So there is that. Hopefully, Ashley says, using OpenRGB. Actually really impressed. I've used OpenRGB a couple of times over the years. I've never quite got to grips with it. I don't know why. You'd think being open source, it should be just really simple, but for some reason, my brain just cannot fathom out how it works. I might have to have another go. We'll have a look. Wayne Taylor says, "Cat, quit licking yo balls." It's actually doing that.
Oh,
Dave's got the goods. He has his little pom-poms. So anyway, fantastic to see you all in the chat tonight. Happy days. Currently got 90 viewers concurrently, which is awesome. Thank you so much for your continued support and faith in our platform. Kath and myself, super pleased that you can all still tune in and be a part of our community. It does mean an awful lot to us, it really does.
Indeed.
Especially these days when things are basically pretty shitty.
Dave.
We got some, what's that, a super sticker from Raj D. It says, "Hello, Mike, Kath, and all in chat. How you doing, Raj D? He's been a member for 6 months. Thank you for joining the supporter level on the YouTube memberships. Much appreciated.
Oh, Otis.
And welcome to the stream." Nicholas Barlow says, "Good evening from the USA. How you doing? And how is the USA today?" The USA must be in so much of a kind of a turmoil at the moment with everything that's going on over there. The new administration. Our thoughts and prayers go out to those that were involved in the air incidents. Do we call them? I don't know. We call it crashes. Whatever it is. Such a terrible time of year, especially just after Christmas, for anything to be going wrong. So to all those families which have been affected by that, sincerely, our thoughts and prayers are with you. And yeah, I'm not sure what else you can say about it. It's a very tough time, and hopefully the families will get some answers sooner or later once all the kind of investigations are done, and hopefully you can then be at peace. I know that's a difficult thing to do, but hopefully get some closure on the whole thing. Charles Ballard says, "I just hit the thumbs up." Thank you, Charles, and you should all do that. Just click on that thumbs up button. Sorry, if you wonder why I'm looking over to the side, because I've got the screen. You can probably just like see it just on the outside of the shot there. So this is where I read all of your chat messages. So if you want to send a message into chat, it will come up on there and I'll try and read it. If not, Kath will highlight it and say, "Mike, stop yabbering. Can you answer this question from a certain person?"
If you want to speak to Dave, just put Dave in front of you.
Yeah, if you've got a question for Dave, put Q, then Dave. And Dave will answer it. Dave?
Davey?
Dave? Anyway. Andy Archer, bless your heart, is gifted 10 Mike's Unboxing Reviews and How-To memberships. That is very kind of you, Andy. Thank you very much. So, Michael Durant, Mickey's Aquariums, Joe77, is that Biden? Douglas Burchell, Leon 101, Pepsi, Hayden Ray Turner, Lady P, Alexander Royce, I'm going to miss out the middle name because I can't pronounce that, and Lance Allen have all been given, or gifted rather, a 1 month membership by Andy Archer. Thank you very much, Andy. Dave Aikens just popped into the chat. How you doing? I thought I saw Glenn just now as well. How you doing, Glenn? Bless you all for joining us. It's nice to see you all back. Well, seeing is hard at the moment. If you've got cats in the house, and we've got 6, and they're all starting to shed their fur somewhat. So I'm getting to the point now where basically there's fur on everything, and every time I do anything, I get hair in my eyes. It seems like it's magnetic. So I've got like a bit of cat hair or something in my eyeball, and it's itching like crazy. I have to get one of those eye wash stations in here. That'd be nice actually, wouldn't it? Another little decoration for the back of the set, little eye wash station. Just be stood there squirting stuff in my eyes all day long.
You could have a cat wall and then they wouldn't flick fur on.
We do need a cat wall. Rick says winter plays havoc on anything in the aviation industry. It does seem that way, doesn't it? It's a pretty sad state of affairs. Hi, Andy Archer. How you doing?
I spoke with Andy. He gave the donation of.
I know.
Tim.
I just seen his name there. Sorry. So I've got many things going around in my head, and it's hard to contain my thoughts. Anyway, so other things we're going to discuss, obviously, in the stream, which we'll go through as we do the build. We'll talk about some things. Obviously, the Nvidia launch is something which a lot of people are interested in, although arguably a lot of people are disinterested in, because it's kind of like we've seen it all before. Literally, we've seen it all before, and this week's launch has been, well, I would argue, massively disappointing. If you've been, I dare say the word lucky, because lucky probably isn't the right word for it, but if you've managed to get yourself a 5000 series graphics card this week, please do let us know in the chat. Potentially you might get flamed for it, or you may not want to mention it because you feel a little bit bad about spending a ridiculous amount of money on a graphics card that you could have bought over a year ago. But let's not go down that route. Let's have some positivity. At least when it comes to driver depreciation, you've probably got another year and a half on the rest of us. So there is that to it. And of course, if you like fake frames, then hey, you're in for a lot of fun. And you've got a really, really great graphics card. But I think for the most of us, I would argue, god damn cat hairs, most of us would say that the launch has been somewhat of a damp squib, to quote Welly Bob. That is one of his favourite phrases, damp squib. And I think the industry on the whole has been a damp squib. We've had arguably about 2 to 3 years of products being basically not a great deal better than their predecessors. Intel, 12th gen, 13th gen and 14th gen. You could argue with Intel that 12th gen was actually the best of them all. 13th gen was a refresh, which was a little bit on the kind of crap side, and obviously with the problems that followed. And also 14th gen was basically more of the same, but for arguably a little bit less money. AMD, the 9000 series, if you had a 7000 series, was there actually any point upgrading? Arguably no, none whatsoever. And of course with Intel's latest chipset, the LGA 1851 on the new Arrow Lake desktop platform, basically somewhat of a regression in some instances, especially for gamers, which primarily a lot of PC users are. So that was basically dead on arrival. In fairness, with the recent patches and updates, it has had some improvements, still not perfect, and still not a competitor for the X3D processors from AMD. But in terms of the normal processors, so things like the 7700, the 9700, the non-X3D parts, actually very competitive, surprisingly. But it's taken a while to get there. Also, if we talk about graphics cards, obviously, yeah, 30 series was pretty good. 40 series was kind of meh. 50 series is basically a rebrand. Very much like the RX 480 versus the RX 580. it was basically the same thing, just repackaged. So, and much more expensive, which is unfortunate. What's that? We've got a super chat coming in, a PayPal donation, in fact, from Nick Barnes. Sent us £10. Thank you very much, Nick. And he has a note there as well saying, great to have you back, making Saturday nights great. Appreciate that. Thanks for all you do from PCs, Tinaco and coffee. All the best, Nick, Joe and Molly. Thank you very much, Nick, Joe and Molly. And with that, actually, that's quite a good segue, actually, talking about Tinaco and coffee and PCs. Because the way things are going, Kath and me have both discussed this, and it's kind of like an ongoing thing. We're really struggling to find products to actually buy for the channel, to review. We aren't one of those channels which go actively looking for sponsorships or for kind of endorsements or any product placement type stuff. So we buy stuff, or we try to get stuff in from companies that we don't know about and stuff that we find interesting or makes sense to buy financially. And with the market as it is at the moment, there just isn't anything to buy. It really isn't. So if you see anything and you think it's interesting and it's a sensible price, please do get in touch. Either mike@mikesunboxing.com, either from the Discord, or just
there is a channel on Discord, isn't there?
yeah, drop us a thing in the comments here or in any of the videos to say, Mike, have you seen such and such? It's a really good price, makes a lot of sense. Would you be interested in reviewing it on the channel? Also in the Discord, there is a specific channel for video ideas or review ideas. Please feel free to put them in there, but they have to be things which make sense and are not financially obscene or require kind of a kidney or a liver to basically purchase. Because it's just getting ridiculous. It really is. And it doesn't have to be necessarily computer stuff. If you want us to review
hair straighteners,
not hair straighteners, anything else you want to see,
you've got a model
somewhat tech related, ideally. But even if it's not a PC part, if it's just tech and it's interesting to you and you think it might be interesting to us, then let us know, because honestly, we're running out of ideas. We used to do a video every single day, Monday through to Friday, then the live stream, no videos on a Sunday, because even God had Sunday off. And yeah, trying to do a video every day, I'm literally scraping the barrel for stuff now. There's nothing exciting going on in Windows. There's no new kind of Copilot stuff to get rid of. It's the end, basically. So give us some ideas of what you want to see on the channel, and hopefully it will try and shape the way things go in future. I am literally sat in front of my computer for hours and hours on end, trawling through websites looking for stuff which actually makes sense to buy. I'm not going to buy stuff just because, oh, it's new and it's cool, especially if it's expensive. Because if it makes no sense, how can I sit here at this desk looking at the camera and wholeheartedly recommending you buy it when I don't believe that? I can't do it. I won't do it. So please, I do genuinely need your help here. So even if you see an idea like how to do something on your computer, let me know. I'll make a video on it. Even if you've found something which you think is cool for you, share it with others via our medium, our channel, our thing. Anyway.
And if you want to shout out, we can do that.
What was the lights on for? Oh, there we go. Chris Goddard. Thank you, Chris Goddard. Actually, I clicked on that. Does that work? Yes, it does. Excellent. Chris Goddard, £5 super chat. Thank you very much, Chris. It says, thanks to your BIOS flash video, it saved me throwing out a Brit B550A Pro. I followed your guide and got it going. Thank you. That is what we want to hear. That's exactly what this channel ideally is supposed to be about. I love doing all the other stuff, and certainly when companies reach out to us and send us something and say, well, do you want to take a look at it? It's like, yeah, great. But if I'm buying things in, I'm not going to buy it if I don't think you should buy it. And in this present market, that really, really narrows down what I can justify buying, because it just makes no sense.
Yeah, they're expensive.
Would you like some apples or bananas? There's another two super chats coming in. Mick Woods, how you doing, Mick? Long time no see. Mick says, hello everybody. Thank you for your kind donation. Much appreciated. Rick says, don't mention excess cats. Yeah. And Rick, you better do that again because you only put 5 heads on there. There's 6. Mark Gaines, bless you, coming in clutch there with a £20 donation. Thank you very much. Let's heart that up there.
But Rick Wellybob was right. There is only 5 in this room at the moment.
There is only 5 in the room, yeah. Mark says, hello, Mike and Kath, and everyone in chat. Oops. Nice one, Mark. Appreciate that. You guys are great. You really are.
But we have had Candy Spades. There will be no.
Yeah, GG. Alessa says, I'm so bored with tech. Mike's Unboxing is the only tech channel I'm still watching. Thank you, Aletta. Aletta's been around since the very beginning. I think Aletta was in the first live stream we ever did.
I think so.
Possibly, maybe even before that. But yeah, Aletta, let's see, the very early doors, I think it was Aletta, Skystalker, possibly Glenn, and I'm trying to think who else was in at the very beginning.
There was George's friend Harvey.
George's friend, yeah, a friend of the family called Harvey. Harvey Linden. He was in the chat. He was in the very first streams. I'm trying to think who else. There probably is a couple of others as well, but I do apologise if I've not put your name on. The thing is, some of you as well, you change your names. So you were originally known as something. Yeah, I did say Skystalker. Yeah, Skystalker and Aletta were the kind of 2 which have been around. Yeah, it's all good. Anyway, thank you all so much. Wayne Taylor says John's Bow Cases. John's Bow Cases, definitely one which has been on the sideline. I'm looking at the moment, Montech cases, because they always seem to be pretty decent value, but at the moment they're a little bit scarce on the ground here in the UK. John's Bow's in the same position. We did the John's Bow D41. Love that case. That was a great case. So definitely want to see more John's Bow on the channel if we can. Again, it comes down to the same thing. John's Bow stuff in America, for example, is really price competitive against the other brands. Whereas in the UK, John's Bow seems to be not quite as good value. Which, being that we are kind of really a UK-based channel, even though we obviously have viewers from all around the world, which we're most appreciative of, we are a UK channel and we buy things in the UK. So there are some things which are a little bit difficult. I would love to see things like Mars Gaming as well, but Mars Gaming stuff, again, a little bit difficult to get hold of, even though they are really, really good value over in the States and other markets. Sorry, I thought I heard a cat choking then.
No,
yeah. Aletta says, way to make an old lesbian feel older. Sorry about that. You haven't been around that long. Long enough. Rick H says, I like Montech products. Yeah, I do, to be fair. Glenn says, some of the new Ions and CIT cases look decent. I would agree. Actually, that's something which I do need to do. I will do that on Monday. I will reach out to Ions again and see if they want to send out a bunch of cases for us to take a look at, because they are always adding to their ranges. Those cases, CIT and Ions, do seem to be creeping up in price as well, which is a little bit unfortunate, but we'll see. Glenn says the Montech Air 100 Lite was a cracking micro ATX case. Maybe we'll take a look at that. I do want to start looking at micro ATX again, because I do feel that there are some bargains to be had for micro ATX. Obviously, with things like this, it refreshes my my whole enthusiasm for that platform. It used to be that there was micro ATX was pretty expensive. You didn't really get a lot of value out of it, and also some micro ATX manufacturers, MSI for one, don't really design the micro ATX boards in the optimum way. ASRock, they do a great job. They always put the PCI Express slot right as high as they possibly can on almost every single board. So if you're putting in like a twin slot or triple slot GPU, you've got loads of room for airflow at the bottom. But with MSI boards and various others, Asus as well, they seem to put the slot one down, which means then your graphics card is basically sucking in metal from the bottom of your case, which isn't good. So there are some downsides with micro ATX, although ASRock do appear to have kind of taken the lead on that and done some really good boards. So we'll see. That's out of my mouth. Ashley Strachan says, I got my current build thanks to Mike's Unboxing Advice. and damn, it works so bloody well. Oh, that's awesome. Thank you. Rick Welly Bob says, I'm happy with my newish Montech case. I'm always tempted to build a mini ITX build, but having done it twice before and regretted it shortly after.
Chris Goddard above.
I know. Chris Goddard. I'm really into my Steam Deck at the moment. Would love to see you review some accessories like docks, etc. And from that, oh yeah, I'm running SteamOS on home desktop PC. I have thought about that. I did look at getting either the MSI Claw or possibly the Asus. What's the little handhold that they do? Can't think what it's called now. Can't think. Someone let me know in the chat. What's the Asus handheld? Is it the Z1? I'm not too sure. But yeah, the little Asus handheld actually looks pretty good. Ally, that's the one. Thank you very much, the Ally. Yeah, that's the one. Alexa says, I'm happy with my Thermaltake CTE C750 Air. It's the best case I've ever owned. It's pretty good. It's a big case. Like I've said many times before, this room is literally 3 meters by 4 meters. It's tiny. So big cases take up a lot of room. I think that sort of size there, which is kind of bordering EATX for the Thermaltake Series 500, is about the biggest I can go to, realistically, without it getting a bit out of hand. What did Markovsky say? I just bought an SFX PSU to go on an SFX build, and it only lasted 5 months. It cost a bomb and went off like one. So no more SFX PSUs for me. Damn, sorry to hear that. Rick Wellybob says handheld PCs are about a year away from being well worth picking up, in my opinion. With the launch of the Strix Halo from AMD, that is going to be the game changer. Literally, in every sense of the word, Strix Halo will be the game changing APU from AMD. It is basically going to be similar sort of processing power to somewhere in between a sort of 4060 possibly and a 4070, if rumors are to be believed. It's not going to be cheap, but it's going to be very, very powerful. So that's going to be interesting to see when that launches, see what it comes out like, and see if it manages to hit the mainstream rather than being just installed onto things like Steam Decks and ROG Allies, that sort of thing. David Underhill says, my computer room is 7 meters by 5 meters. God. I think our house isn't 5 meters wide. It might be, nearly. English houses, eh? APUs will be the next big thing, says Markovsky. I think it will be. The way that it's almost like graphics cards are pricing themselves out of the market. Speaking of which, I should address some of the things which have gone on this week. I may have burnt some bridges this week. For those of you that follow me on Facebook or possibly look in the community tab on YouTube, I was, along with many others on the Discord, at 2 PM on Thursday, was it? I think it was Thursday. When did the graphics cards come out? I think it was Thursday. Anyway, whenever it was, looking at websites and just seeing what the prices were like. Because we didn't know for sure, and we didn't know what other graphics cards were out, what prices they'll be at, etc. So I was on a website here in the UK called scan.co.uk, which happens to be the distributor for Nvidia products in the UK. So if you buy a Founders Edition card, like the 5090, 5080 FE, the Founders Edition cards, you'll go through the checkout on Nvidia and it will refer you back to scan.co.uk to finalize the purchase. They then ship it out to you. So it's done through them. They basically do the shipping. So if you wanted a Founders card or any of the kind of the entry-level cards, probably Scan's going to be one of your best bets. So I was there, like others, and looking what other cards are available, because the Founders Edition seemed to be problems. The website was just going nuts. It basically crashed, as you'd expect. But there were 3 other cards which were listed at £979. There was a Ventus 3 from MSI. There was a Zotac model. I can't remember the exact version, but there was a Zotac model, and there was also a palette card as well. So 3 cards at the kind of entry level price, the suggested retail price, £979 here in the UK, plus the Founders Edition. So basically 4 options. Now, the Nvidia website basically crashed, so no one could buy anything. It just went completely pear-shaped. So I was concentrating more on what was going on scan.co.uk. Myself and numerous others, and some of you may have already seen this on Gamers Nexus. He actually did a very small segment on it, around about 4 minutes 30 in, if you want to look for yourselves, where if you go to the scan site, you could see the graphics cards listed for £979. For some people, the buy button was not available, but it said in stock. So you kind of refresh the page to make sure that you were in the queue kind of thing. And whilst refreshing, numerous people were noticing that the prices were increasing after the Nvidia site crashed. So some of the prices went from £979 up to £1,050 and up to almost £1,100. And in some instances, even further. Some graphics cards going up as much as £205, as I posted on the community forum, showing a kind of before and after for exactly the same graphics card with exactly the same stock number and all that kind of stuff. So I don't like that sort of thing. I consider that to be scalping or price gouging, whichever you want to call it. I guess it amounts to the same thing. So I called scan.co.uk out on it, both on Facebook and also on the community tab. And I did get a response from the owner of scan.co.uk stating that everybody knows that Scan does not do scalping, and I was welcome to go up to Scan and see for myself. So I've got all this screenshot, by the way, and if you go over onto, if you're a friend of mine on Facebook, you can go through and see it on the page. It's all there. I haven't deleted anything. I've left it as it is. I said it doesn't matter. Basically, the explanation that was given was that MSI specifically gave 30 stock keeping units, or SKUs, or 30 units of a, what's the word he used?
Subsidised.
Subsidised, thank you, Kath. So MSI actually subsidised 30 units for them to be sold at the MSRP for the RTX 5080. Which seems in itself to be a somewhat valid response. So all I said was, well, that's great, but unless you actually let people know that go to your website, your potential customers, that this is a limited amount, or there are a certain amount of subsidized models before there's a price increase, that is something which you need to inform your customers. And also, if that is the case, if you could provide me with some redacted document confirming that that's what MSI did, then I would be forced to retract my statement and publicly apologise for calling scan.co.uk scalpers. I think that is pretty reasonable. The response I got was slightly less reasonable, and kind of basically left it as that, because I thought, well, there's no point arguing the fact. I've made my point. The owners stated they don't do price scalping. However, from all intents and purposes, if you are a customer from the outside and you didn't know the background, it would appear that the prices have been inflated by £200 due to popularity. Whether it is, whether it isn't, that is down to the individual to work out in their own head if that is the case. And without having some kind of receipts or proof or even some prior knowledge to that being the case, it's open to discussion, I think, personally. It's very easy for someone to say after the fact that this was why. You need to tell customers that up front, because otherwise it purely and simply looks like price gouging. And if you go to the Gamers Nexus video, you'll see that someone was trying to check out. They were doing screen recordings. It was £979. It then went to checkout. You clicked on the button to say, "Are you human?" Click yes, and the price shot up £200. So Obviously, I'm not the only one. There are other members of our Discord who I'm not going to mention their names. If they want to, they're more than welcome to. But they experience a very similar thing. So it's not like I'm making this up. It's not like I'm the only one. There's documented evidence of it. It looks pretty shady. Let's be honest. So I've still heard nothing back. All lines of kind of discussion have ended. So I don't know. It's down to the individual. There's many things I could say which I'm going to not do, but I may have burnt my bridges because I was arguing with the owner of the company, and I do know that scan.co.uk are very, how shall I say, they basically are in touch with a lot of companies, and they have big deals with lots of companies. So potentially, if you see some companies not appearing on the channel quite as much as previously, I'm not saying it's going to be for that reason, but you never know. Some bridges may have been burnt. So that is where I'm at with it. Hopefully, like, I was just trying to bring people's attention to it, that it sucks. And without a decent explanation of why those prices were changing like they were, it looks like price gouging. It does to me, it does to a lot of other people. I'm not the only person to say it, but anyway, there you go. So I was trying to make people aware of it. There you go. Yeah, let me know what you think. Glenn says, yes, 979, 1049, 1099. Crazy. That was a big jump. It is not good. Also as well, there have been numerous people who have made a purchase, gone through the checkout, everything done, only to then have an email saying that their purchase has been cancelled. Now, I don't think there's anything necessarily nefarious going on there. It's probably due to the computer system not working properly and overselling. I know for a fact, scan.co.uk were also doing an in-store launch, which they had various manufacturers which were providing them the stock so they could do an in-store thing. People were lining up outside, sleeping overnight, etc. to get their hands on stock. So being that they're selling retail and also they're trying to sell online, if one is kind of not keeping up with the other in terms of their systems, I guess it's easy to oversell. Now, there could be another reason. It might be that they've sold a system for £3,000 and they want to sell that system, but they don't have the graphics card, so they cancel the graphics card to put inside the system. I don't know. That is entirely conjecture or speculation, so do not take that with any amount of credence. Literally, I'm just spitballing, but it wouldn't be unheard of. Now, I'm not saying they are doing that, but possibly that is it. Could be a computer problem, could be oversold, whatever. I don't know. I don't care. All I know is that the whole situation sucks, and it's about time that either Nvidia or the retailers got together and said, look, we're not going to be upsetting our customers like this all the time. If you don't have the stock for the launch, don't do the launch. Do it later. Do it when you've got some stock. But by them doing this and artificially increasing the prices, it's bad for everyone because you pay way over the odds for a graphics card, which you potentially might not even get. And it's just, I think it's just a scummy thing. And it's opening up the manufacturer, well, not the manufacturers, but it's opening up the retailers to be kind of taken advantage of, and also for them to be shown in a bad light, as they've done in this particular instance. For all I know, scan.co.uk are trying to do the very best for their customers and trying to please everybody, but they are beholden to what Nvidia will allow them to keep in terms of stock. They may have promised a certain amount and not delivered. I don't know. Nobody knows. But the longer that as long as retailers and distributors allow this to continue, it will keep on going and it will keep on getting worse, and prices will continue escalating as they have been over the last 5 years, to the point of now a high tier graphics card, I'm not going to say high end, but high tier, like towards the top, will cost more than a pretty decent used car. Like, seriously.
Phones have gone.
You could refurbish your kitchen for the price of a graphics card. Why have we got to this stage?
We did with phones though, didn't we? I've paid more for a phone
Yeah.
than I have cars.
Yeah, phones are a similar situation, but they're not quite as nuts. But a phone, at least, a phone is going to last you a long time. And you're unlikely to, well,
it depends if you want to replace it.
You might not get sculpt on that.
But I suppose a lot of people do contracts, don't they? So.
Anyway, there you go. I just wanted to get it off my chest. Glenn says it's ironic that Scan's computers could not keep up. Haha, not a great advert for 3XS. Yeah, that's a good point, actually. Although they probably use a different retail system, but yeah, I know where you're coming from with that. Where is that? I saw that from David Underhill. Australia is seriously considering banning the practice of changeable pricing, but all that will do is raise pricing to a high level from the beginning. Yes, that is it. Just reading through your comments there. Mark says your reputation as a business is worth more than a quick buck. Yeah, it is, but it isn't as well. A lot of companies are very much kind of skating on that thin ice of being like comfortable. So if they can make some money, the thing is, well, a lot of companies are beholden to shareholders. They basically have to legally do the best they can to make money for their shareholders, which kind of raises other questions as well. But anyway, we won't go into that too much. I think I've said all I want to say on that. I don't think anyone's going to be, well, I know a couple of people who've bought 5080s and 5090s. Someone actually bought one. There's someone who's relatively local, actually, and they've asked me to do a build for them. And it's a pretty high-end build in like a height Y70 with 9800X 3D and 5090 or 5080. Literally thousands and thousands of pounds worth. And they wanted me to build it, and I said no. I honestly don't want to have that kind of potential calamity on my hands, because if anything goes wrong with it, I'm going to be on the hook for it.
And we have cats.
And yeah, I wasn't interested. So as much as it would have been nice to have it on the channel to do a really nice high-end build, I don't want that hanging over me. So hopefully you lot can understand where I'm coming from with that. And also as well, I just don't want to get involved in this ridiculous PC building hype of let's see how many £1,000 we can waste on a computer, which is still going to run Fortnite like shit. Let's be fair. And I've actually downgraded my own system recently. I've gone from a 13900K with a 4080 down to a 14700K and a 4070 Ti. So I'm actually downgrading my stuff because I'm thinking it's just ridiculous. It honestly is. I know that as a YouTuber, I'm supposed to be promoting the latest and greatest and kind of not persuading you, but actually it is persuading, isn't it? The whole thing of being a influencer is persuading people to spend money. And honestly, I wish you wouldn't. I genuinely don't. If you're going to buy stuff, buy sensible stuff. Get yourself a 7700. Don't spend like £500 on a 9800X 3D. Like, why would you spend that amount of money on an 8-core processor? Are you nuts?
Greg Dodd? Off topic.
Greg Dodd. Greg Dodd says, I have a Lexar EQ790 1TB SSD M.2. I have lost the little screw that locks into the motherboard. Can I order them from eBay? And if so, what do I search for? You can get them on eBay and you can get them on Amazon. Just search for M.2 screw. You can generally get a multi-pack which comes with the fixings and various size screws because all manufacturers use slightly different screws. So yeah, just search for M.2 screws. I'm not sure what size they physically are, but yeah, I picked up a multi-pack which was, I think it was about £2 or £3, and I got like 12 screws of various different sizes. That should do it. Alternatively, you might find that you can actually get a screw from lower down on your motherboard. So if you've got more than one M.2 slot, just nick a screw from another slot. Last man standing says 14700K, and I got my 4070 Super last year for 450 quid. Was well chuffed. Awesome. And Viali says yes, nuts.
I had to look at Dave then to make sure he wasn't showing them off when I read that comment.
Yeah, Craig MCM says yeah, ASRock size are smaller than MSI. Yeah, they all. And Asus is different from MSI. I think Gigabyte are different as well. So yeah, if you've got a motherboard, if you've got 2 or 3 M.2 slots, just undo one of the other covers. You'll probably find there's a screw under there. Alternatively, most drives don't really need a screw because the heatsink on top generally holds it in place. So if need be, you can just put, like, I don't know, some blue tack or something in there, or some heat resistant tape. Markovsky says throwing tons of money at something only makes sense if it's not your money. Ask any politician. Yeah, it's like that old thing, isn't it? Was it with socialists? Socialist countries. Socialism works up until the point that they run out of other people's money to give away. Michael T says, I got my 4090 here in Aussie. At launch, it went up over 800 Aussie dollars before the 5090 come out. I can sell it for a profit. I'm looking at this. The reason today, the graphics card I'm putting into this is going to be my RX 6800. And the reason for that is because my RX 7800 XT, which I basically haven't used, I bought for, I think it was £480 roughly, not long after it launched. And then now they have been down as low as like 420 or so. But looking at prices on eBay, even used cards are selling on eBay for the same model for about 450. So I'm thinking I've got more chance of selling that separately and at least trying to get some of my money back on that. Whereas the RX 6800 probably isn't going to get me much back. I think I paid $370 for that. So I'm going to put it into this build, and hopefully, with fingers crossed, I'm not going to lose too much money on it when I sell it. Because I am going to sell it. I'm pretty sure I'm going to sell it. As long as it all works and it fits, which we should get down to because we haven't even started that. Craig says overkill PC is daft. It is. CB says please just keep giving good advices. I'm trying to. I am trying to, such as don't spend money that you don't necessarily need to, because it is. Dave, you're so cute. It is absolutely pointless to spend that money. Like, if it's your hobby and you enjoy it and you've got the money and you don't have bills and you don't have kids and whatever, or cats, it's fine. Just do it. If it makes you happy, do it. Honestly, from that point of view, spoil yourself. But for me, I've got to the point now where I'm buying these graphics cards and they don't feel like something which I'm enjoying. They feel like a noose around my neck.
And they keep making your PC crash every time you change them.
Yeah, and they do make my PC crash, which is not good. Yeah. This one's still running. I'm quite pleased with that. Anyway, so let's get on. Get rid of some of the cat hairs off the keyboard.
Grab a hot drink first.
I will.
Got
I'll grab a cold drink.
Right then, Dave,
Bonzer, mate, as they say. Dave, what are you doing?
It's going to build.
You're not building a PC, daft little fecker. Don't claw at the mouse mat. William Bodie won't appreciate that.
William again.
Bless. For those of you wondering, William Bodie, yeah, he's got some family stuff going on at the moment, so if he's not in the streams, he's okay himself. But he's got some family stuff he's dealing with, so send him your thoughts and prayers. I'm sure he would appreciate it if you don't see him in here. But yeah, he's going through some stuff, so bless him. He has been in touch, and he's still commenting on videos and stuff. But yeah, he's spending time with family. I'm not going to say too much because he probably wouldn't want me to, or maybe he would. I don't know, but he doesn't. I haven't had that conversation with him, so I'm not going to say it. But I know he's a well-loved member of the community, so. Yeah, just Just have a little thought and a prayer for William Bodie. Bless his heart. Vader Racing, good evening. Just looked at the prices for the new cards and wow, what nutcases are buying these cards. They have shit performance for the money and sticking to my 1700 XT, which is good enough. I concur. John Sullivan, any update on Ugly Bob? Nope, still missing in action as far as I know. No word at all. Which is a bit worrying, it's very sad, but either he has his reasons or he is unable to. I honestly don't know. I would love to know. That is something which is actually weighing on my heart a little bit, I'll be honest. Andy Archer says, just a suggestion, Mike, but you could do a video on what software to test a new system with to assess performance. I have actually done that. I probably haven't named it particularly well, but there was a video, I think, called What to Do with Your New PC Build.
Have we actually released that yet?
Yeah, that went out, I think it's about a year or two ago. It was a while back. It might need updating, but there is a video out. If I find it, or if I can find it, I'll try and put a link in the chat. Matthew Day says, when do the AMD 9000s launch? Well, there has been speculation that it's going to be as late as March, towards the end of March. Whether or not there's any truth in that, I honestly don't know. Whether they're going to be performing as well as they are. They do appear to be on par with the RTX 5070, which is, again, debatable because the 5070s aren't out yet. So, however, that if you imagine that the 5080 is basically the same as a 4070 Ti Super or Super. Right, let's go back. The 5080 is basically the same as a 4080 Super, give or take, in most circumstances. So if you take that, you extrapolate that, the 5070 is going to be the same as the 4070 Super. The 9070 is supposed to be about that performance. So around about a 4070 Super, but potentially for less money. So we'll see. But until it comes out, who knows? Yeah, Viali says they're very close to the 5080. The thing is, the 4070 is close to the 5080 in some instances. So it's a really, because the whole product stack is kind of really condensed in terms of, like, if you think of something like, actually Dave Aitkins bought a new GPU, which is an old Titan Z, which is from the 700 series of Nvidia cards. So basically a GTX 780, but I think it's like a 780 Ti, but two of them on the same board, which is roughly about the same speed as a GTX 1080. And the 1080 isn't that far off a 4070 in some instances. So kind of like you've gone best part of like 10 years and they've all kind of like, rather than being like big jumps each year, they've all kind of basically gone like that. So if you took like the last 4 years graphics cards of a similar class and put them all in like a chart, they'd all be roughly the same. So yeah, you can, and also with like DLSS and FSR and XESS, if you take those technologies into account as well, like anything can be like anything these days. It is ridiculous. Anyway, let's take a look at, how am I going to do this? Right, this motherboard might not fit the case, in which case I have to change my whole thing, which is a little bit of a nose. So normally I would put all the parts on the board first, which actually, let's just put it on the board. I don't care. If I have to take it all off again, there'll have to be a part 2 of the video. And also it gives me a good chance to show you this. Dave, you really need to go away now? Or are you going to put the CPU in? Do you want to do the RAM? PSU? GPU? No? Which do you want to do? You got to answer. I don't talk cat. Or I don't do telepathy. Are you going to help or are you just going to lie there? You can't just close your eyes. Dave? I can see your eyes. I can see your ears moving. I know you're not dead. Hello, McDave. Right, move over there a little bit. There you go. Dave's going to unbox the case. I'm not sure if I need an I/O shield for this or not. I'm going to get it out anyway. Dave is the quality and OSHA inspector, just to make sure that everything's been done right.
You're being cute, Dave.
It's a shame the camera angle isn't a bit wider so you can see his dumb ass.
Should we go down from here?
No. Right, I'll just quickly show you this motherboard. So I haven't given you a close-up of the board yet. Hopefully you can see that. So this is the ASRock B850M-X WiFi. Quite a nice little board, and actually something which is quite cool on here, only 2 RAM slots. So if I recommend this board to people and they buy it, when they upgrade RAM, they'll be upgrading RAM properly, rather than just buying random generic sticks off of some sketchy site.
Dave.
Dave, he wants the board. Dave, go. You're stuck on me now. Right. Dave, you've asked for this. Dave. Come on, you big furball. Look at his big old belly. I'm fat shaming you, Dave.
He's just
I am fat shaming you.
Fur shaming.
Bless him. Sorry, there you go. There's Dave. You've seen enough. He's so docile. Bless his heart.
Docile with really sharp claws.
Docile with super sharp claws,
and
yeah.
teeth.
Oh, God, yeah. Not as bad as Otis. Otis has got the worst for teeth.
And claws, to be honest. He's
Like the Esther Ranson of cats. Right, going to the overhead camera now. So we're going to be... Nick Barnes says, why is there only one motherboard heatsink for VRMs? Good question. The VRM heatsink is here. So your primary VRMs are along this section here. This motherboard has a 6+1+1+1 setup. So you've got 6 phases for the actual CPU. You've got another single phase for the GPU. And then you've got another kind of miscellaneous phase. So these ones here, the one for the GPU doesn't really need a heatsink on it. And this one here for the kind of miscellaneous stuff like chipset doesn't really get hot. So those don't really need a heatsink. Normally, if you have a board with more heat, with a heatsink which has like a wraparound or 2 heatsinks, that's generally because some of the CPU ones actually overlap into this section here. So they'll need additional cooling. But because this is the SoC or system on a chip and also like the chipset stuff or miscellaneous, doesn't need it because it doesn't really draw a great deal of power. Hopefully that makes sense. It does, good. Cheers. Right, CPU is... Actually, what the CPU heck is this? What the flipping hell is that? Oh, right, that's 8600G on there, so I need to take that out and put that away. I've been doing some testing with that recently. It's actually a pretty decent little CPU, actually, the 8600G. I've been using my silicon paste protectors. I love those things, they're excellent. Everyone should use one. Just make sure there's no cat hairs. And we're going to take the CPU out. I always hate this bit. Put that to one side. And we'll grab our 7700. Make sure there's no hairs in there. Oh, I hate dropping these in. There we go, that's in nicely, I think. Yeah, little wiggle there to make sure it's okay. Lower that down and bing, bang, bosh. We're done. And I'll put the paste guard back on. That way round. I really do like these paste guards. They do make cleanup so much easier. So I'm going to quickly put this CPU away because I don't want it getting damaged, or Dave doing something unspeakable to it. John David Sullivan says you need your thermal paste applicator. I'm going to use Dave's pulls. I think that's the way forward. I'm going to put the 8600G away. I've actually been doing some sort of testing with that on a little test bench over the weekend. And yeah, the 8600G, if you're looking for a processor with just a nice little boost of power and onboard graphics, 8600G, you can do a lot worse. They're still a little bit on the pricey side, but quite nice. Especially for like SFX builds. Right, next thing we're going to do, we're going to install our M.2 drive. So we're going to use the Fanshana, Fanshana, I think that's pronounced, S500 Pro. Which is going to be absolutely fine for this. Don't need anything too outrageous or too exotic. And
is that a real cat?
It is, unfortunately, yeah. He's still there, isn't he? Bless him.
Boy, isn't he?
We haven't given him drugs. Maybe we should.
Although we do have a catnip bush in the garden.
Now, interesting thing on this, the M.2 actually has 2 lots of thermal pads on there. So we're going to remove the little film off there. So it's a double-sided because this is PCI Express Gen 5, or it can take a PCI Express Gen 5. We're not going to use one, but John Davison says Fan Shang. Fan Shang, thank you. Funny enough, this is actually it's actually got a thermal pad on there already, so we don't really need that. Any downside with these drives when they've got 2 lots of thermal pads is they can be an absolute bugger to get out after. Luckily, this has got those nice little lock-in tabs on there, little plastic tab on there, so you don't have to worry about any screws to actually keep it in place, which is always nice. And then we can put this back in place here. Was it this way round? Yeah, isn't it? Oh. Let's see if I can get this lined up. There's a downside about this board. It is on the cheap side, so you do have to do the M.2 shield cooling kind of manually. Just do that, get it in place. David says, you were going to check the case before fitting the bits. I know. Well, the thing is, if this doesn't physically fit, I'm going to end up getting one of those Montech 100 cases, I think, that Glenn suggested a little bit earlier. And I'll put this platform into something else altogether. And I've got another kind of platform almost on standby, ready to go in if this doesn't work out. So, yeah, it's absolutely fine. I've sort of planned it out in my head. I've had a couple of weeks to think about this, although I only settled on the idea this morning. Our Portier says, I'm very curious to see if it will fit. You and me both. Next is going to be the RAM. So this has got the single side openings. And it's going to be a little bit of a stealth look to this, actually. They've snapped into place really nicely. Oh, and that is round the wrong way. So that's never going to be a good thing. Nice. And what I will do, because I've had a different processor and also different RAM in here, I'm going to flip out the battery. Greg, Mike, can I have that screw that you're not using for your SSD? Yeah, sure. I got one in this box. It might fit, you never know. There's a clear CMOS button down here, so I'm going to clear the CMOS. The battery's out, we cleared the CMOS, so when we boot up for the first time, it's going to be back to the factory default settings for the motherboard, which is what we want. Always worth doing that if you're changing your RAM over for different RAM, or maybe if you're changing your CPU, just in case you get a situation where a system won't boot. And if you've not got access to the battery because the GPU's in the way, this can save you a little bit of time. Right, so that is that. I'll put these underneath the desk for now. And I suppose we should get the case out now. And we're almost towards the point of the moment of truth. So I'm going to put this to one side. Dave's going to have his belly rubbed. And we'll get the case out. So talk amongst yourselves for a minute.
Come on, Dave, do some party tricks.
Dave's going to juggle while I'm gone.
Do you want my Swiss Army wife?
Yeah, go on. Kath's got to open the box because I'm not able to. Well, I am able to, I just... whatever dog and bark myself. Is that what I was looking for?
Not really, but yeah. Yeah, do.
Don't need that.
Gramps.
Dave! Dave, 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 Dave. Alright? What are we doing?
They can't see you.
No. Look, he's moving the mouse now. Get out of it, mouse hacker. What will it be? Will it be a small Thermaltake case? Oh yes, it will be.
You could have sat on that box, couldn't you? You'd have to get some keyboards.
Dave, touch the side of that to get rid of the electric shock for me.
Don't touch it, Dave.
That reminds me, anybody who's in the chat who is old enough to remember the Steve Wright radio show on BBC Radio 1, Steve Wright in the afternoon on drive time, and there used to be a character on that kind of show called, I think it was the manager, something the manager, and they did this is around the time that MC Hammer was about, and they did a piss take of MC Hammer's Don't Touch This, and there's like that live wire at the back of the set, don't touch it. Sid the manager. There, if anyone in the chat is old enough and in the UK and remembers that, let me know.
Mark Offsley, you should have used your test bench, Mike.
I have.
You've been using it all weekend.
I have been using it all weekend, actually. Yeah, absolutely right. So there we go. There is the Tower 200. Actually, I suppose I should show it that way first of all. Hopefully that is, I'm not sure if that's even, oh, it does fit all in the screen. So there you go. This is the Tower 200. There's Dave's belly. So yeah, nice little case. It's supposed to be ITX, but people have had luck installing micro ATX because it's actually got the pillars there, the extra pillars for supporting the board. So potentially it should fit.
Looks like a 3D printer.
It does actually, doesn't it? Or one of those, Dave, no. You can't go in there. Don't wibble your ball bags at me. Right, I'm going to take the top off. Take Dave's top off because he's this little stripper cat. And I'm going to take off the side panels so I've got as much light access as possible. Notice all of this tool-free design, which is pretty cool. And there are some pre-installed fans. We've got a CT120 fan on the side here. That'll be going because that is going to be where the AIO is going to go. But hopefully you can sort of see what is going on there. You take off the back panel as well. There's also tool-free. Well, we'll see. I'm not too sure at the moment. But let's see if the motherboard will fit. So we'll go back to the overhead camera. And hopefully that is slightly visible. Not a lot of light. Let me turn the light around. Is that any better? Or does that make things worse? I'm not sure.
Tower 200, isn't it?
Tower 200, that's right, yeah. So I'm going to pull these cables out. This is for the rear I/O. just so there's nothing in the way. So we've got pillars there, there, there. So ITX would be those 4, but they pre-install these, but they don't class it as a micro ATX case for some bizarre reason. I don't know why. I think actually if they'd called it a micro ATX case, it may have actually sold better. Now this has actually been recently, like, not replaced, but basically kind of, well, I suppose it has been superseded, I think that's probably the right word, by the Tower 250. But that is significantly more expensive, and it's actually quite a bit bigger as well. So that is the coarse type screws for the motherboard. So let's try and get some screws. 1, 2, 3. 4.
Williams is looking forward to the new bubblegum 250.
5. 6 screws. So they include 6 screws, and they also include additional screws for there as well. And actually there's some other ones which go right down there for micro ATX or mini ATX. 1, 2, yeah, because I need to install another 2, don't I?
Do you want your head torch?
I might have to put my head torch on actually, yeah, so that you lot can see what I'm doing. Oh yeah, it's on charge, isn't it?
That's why I asked you.
Well done.
I'll get a drink. Do you want a drink?
Yeah, go on, have another water, please.
Water?
I'm going to have some water. The water in my water don't taste like what it ought.
Out of the fridge or?
No, just from the water filter, please. Now this is actually really confusing because normally, actually, yeah, how's the power cable going to go in? Because the power cable comes through there, but there is another hole there. Oh well. So I need to add in 2 more motherboard pillar standoffs. There and there. Clearly, you can't use the 4th slot. You kind of can, but not easily. So that should be it. So the motherboard rear I/O goes up there. Just trying to get my head around this now. So, yeah, actually I don't need those other pillars anyway. Let's see. So yeah, that looks okay. I haven't put the rear I/O in actually, so maybe I should do that. On this particular setup, it doesn't really make a great deal of difference up here because it's all kind of exposed anyway. But maybe I should put it in. It looks like it is going to fit. It looks like it'll fit absolutely fine, to be honest. So which way is that going to go? So antennas that way round. It's always a little bit weird because you've got like muscle memory when you're building a system of like how a normal system would be. Then you try and do something like this and it kind of it perplexes you a little bit because it's not quite as you're used to. So that fits in there. We've got a pillar missing. Oh, no, it is there. Oh no. Disaster has struck. So that doesn't want to stay in there very well. I think this is really designed for motherboards which have their captive I/O shield. It doesn't really want to stay in there. A little bit on the loose side.
Was it Dave? I've got a drink. I didn't bring you one. You don't drink coffee, do you?
There we go. That's lined up. So yeah, that looks like it's going to work. Did you bring the head torch?
Oh no, I got distracted by Dave looking at me.
Dave, stop distracting. And don't drink my water. I think we'll start off with trying to get one of these pillars in to start with.
torch on, Dave? I've got to turn the light off, hold on.
Right, I'm going to put the head torch on, ladies and gents. So this might get a little bit brighter, with any luck. Although my head's shrunk. This thing's really big now. Oh. What did I do there? Oh, I did the wrong thing.
Your head shrunk.
My head shrunk.
Into the bloody head clinic.
I have. There we go. So hopefully you guys can see that a little bit better now. So these are going in nicely. Now the concern I've got is trying to connect up things to the I/O on the bottom. I'm a little bit concerned that those might be a little bit on the close side. Wrong case, Mike, says Dutch Jan. Dave wants to be the star of the show. He definitely does. He's more than welcome to.
Where's Wayne Taylor? 8th day in a row, 40C plus. Another 4 forecast.
That's got to be Australia.
Yeah. Oh, we haven't had summer for about 2 years now.
Yeah, I was saying to Lord Erectus, because Lord Erectus is over in Australia as well, and he said the same thing. Like, we had multiple days of 40C heat. And it's like, well, that's bloody wonderful. Think yourselves lucky. It's bloody freezing here. Although saying that, 40C also brings its own problems, doesn't it? Because that is a little bit warm, to say the least. Like when we have 40 degrees C here, basically the country kind of fell apart.
Well, you can think it would be alright, wouldn't it, if we were used to it?
Didn't know Imhotep wore a head torch. Must be the modern reimagining of the mummy. Yeah. David Underhill's at 21.4 feels like 19.1. That's nice. Michael T says, I'd rather freezing than hot here in Australia. Nice. Okay. Right, so that appears to fit as far as I can tell. The only thing is, like on this side bit here, to plug in the rear... Actually, no, that's going to be fine, isn't it? So let's think about where some of these plugs go. Before we count our chickens and say, yeah, we're all good, let's think about where we have to plug things in. So the bottom USB 3, that's fine. That goes there. The USB Type-C, that's fine as well, because that's going to go down the bottom. So we can route those down while we need to. The front panel I/O is in this corner here. So we can either take it from the bottom here, or we can take it down from the side. I'm not too sure which I want to do yet. We've also got our front panel audio for the HD audio, which is up in this top corner here. So that's obviously going to be extremely easy. The things to be concerned about, I think, is going to be the fan connectors on the side there, which might need a little bit of attention. Addressable RGB, we've got one there, but we've also got two over this side, so I think those are going to be more accessible. In terms of the CPU fan connectors, those are going to be a piece of cake because they're on the side.
What cooler are you using, Mike?
We're going to use a 280mm AIO in this. It doesn't need it, but I think it's going to make it look a little bit nicer. And in fact, I'm glad whoever said that.
Andy,
Nice one, Andy. I'm glad you said that. So I'm going to take out this fan.
In when you were talking about fan orders.
Yeah, that was good. Good timing.
Get it in quick.
We're almost like professionals at the moment. Almost.
Well, Dave's not on the table, so we're not all right.
Yeah, that's right, yeah. We need Dave on the table to be as professional as we could be. So this fan's going to come out. I need to put a fan in the top, really, for a exhaust, but I think we'll concentrate on that a little bit later. Nice thing about this is there is a removable rack on the side. So if we need to take out the cooler to make a bit of room, yeah, we can do. relatively easily to gain access to this side section. This is going to be where our GPU is going to sit. So that is going to be absolutely fine. I don't envisage any problems there whatsoever. There's also a GPU brace there as well, which I don't know why you'd use the brace actually. I suppose towards the bottom it might be useful.
Tower 400 take full ATX board.
The 400, I'm not sure.
And is it the thick one that you used the other day for cooler?
No, it's not. No, that is the thick one I used the other day, the Arctic freezer. That is still in my main PC, and actually I've become quite attached to that. Now I've managed to get the fan down to a sensible kind of level, so it's not like driving me insane anymore. So let's flip this over a minute so you can see what's going on. So from the side, so that's going to be where our radiator is going to be mounted in here. So you've got mounts there for 240 or 280. You also got pass-throughs there as well if you need to run any cables through. It's going to be nice and easy to access the wiring there for the radiator. So that's our fan header and AIO header. That's all we're going to need there. CPU fan and AIO goes there. Easy access to the wiring for the EPS connection there. So yeah, I think overall this is probably going to work out quite nicely. Something which I do need to sort of consider is the graphics card is going to be here. So I almost want to kind of route these cables sort of here, maybe out of the way, or I can take them in through that side section there. Probably in through the side section. Ira Wolfman, can't wait for the Tower 100. We've already done the Tower 100. The Tower 100 was the first one we did, I think.
Would love to see a T200 with the board pushed forward to the middle of the case and put the GPU behind it.
Yeah, actually, that's probably possible, actually. Right, so I'm going to do some very basic cable management. I think that is what these are for here. So there's some punch outs there to attach the cables to keep them out of the way of your GPU. So I might quickly bang a cable tie in there if I could find them. What have I done with the cable ties? I always get to this time and I forget where the cable ties are. Dave, what have you done with the cable ties? Gosh damn it. Yeah, it's really off-putting actually when you're working on a PC case which isn't the traditional layout. It really does throw you for six, at least it does me.
Where's the cable ties, Dave?
Oh, that's alright. There are some here, so I'll make use of those.
Yeah.
It doesn't really need a cable tie here at the moment, but just to keep things slightly tidy.
Dave will be the judge of that.
Yeah, Dave, you be the judge.
You're the judge, Dave.
So that's going to keep those bits clear for our GPU.
What is it?
I should mention as well, this video is not endorsed or sponsored by Thermaltake or anyone, or even Dave. Right, so and these cables now need to come back out through here. So there's a cable management channel, which I'll show you as soon as I route these cables through. I will show you the cable routing channels, which are actually really well thought out on this case.
What do you prefer overall, the 100 or 200?
Me personally, I prefer the 200, like every single time.
What about you, Dave?
Oh, that don't want to go through there. That's a nose. Right, I might have to do that one first.
Do you want to go out?
Right, there's a little cable management route there, which doesn't want the cable to go through, which is unfortunate. Oh, what a daft idea. So there is an area there where the cable could have gone through, but it's too big. So I kind of have to take it down through there, which is a bit daft. Why would they do that? That's a bit of a mistake. Let me turn that over so you can almost see it. So I'm trying to get the cable through this hole here, which, yeah, hopefully you can just about see that. So the hole there, but that don't want to go through it. So it kind of has to go through there, which is a little bit of a nose. So with that in mind, you'd kind of want to not have that cable tied, so you can come across there. Yeah, that's a bit of an oversight, I think. If I would have thought about this a little bit earlier, I would have probably dremeled that. Well, it's never going to be seen, and it's not like really going to be in the way that much. But yeah, it would have been nice to be able to have that go through with the rest. Anyway, I guess it doesn't really matter.
Really?
In fact, actually, I might as well take them all through there now, haven't I? Viali, you can't see Viali's. I have a Thermaltake Core X9, in case anyone wants it. Would have to collect from Northumberland. There you go, if anybody wants a Corsair case. Viali is yeah, sorry, yeah. What did I say?
Corsair.
Wow. Where did I get that from?
Well, it's got a core on there.
Yeah, yeah, if anyone wants a Core X9 case, hit a rally up. Not a rally, god damn it. Viali, not a rally.
And Dutch Jan.
And Dutch Jan.
No, Dutch Jan.
Dutch Jan's got one as well.
No question.
Question, the cables cannot be routed through the top hole. What, through that one? Yeah, they probably could do. Yeah, that actually might be better. So, which would explain actually then why they've put these cable tie holes there. So they're expecting you to go to there, then to there, and then also possibly round to there. Yeah, that's a good shout actually. Well done. Yeah, they put in both cable ties to allow you to do that. Put another cable tie in there just to hold that in place.
Yeah, it's a bloody big, basically like a test bed in a box.
Testbedinabox.com. Oh, I heard my neck click then.
That was your neck.
It was.
I thought that was a cable tie being clipped.
It was shortly after, but I was leaning over. Right, so now to show you the cable management. So on the side,
Dan said, lol, I meant through the hole under the I/O.
you got those little tabs there. So you can run your cables back in through there, and they lock into place. So you can kind of disappear all your cables. Actually, I don't want to disappear them all, because some of them are going to have to come back up here, aren't they, to the front audio, which is going to be back up there. So I'm going to plug that in under there.
Dutch Jan said,
Go through there.
I meant through the hole under the I/O.
Oh. Well, I suppose you could do it either way. Doesn't really make a great deal of difference, I suppose. That is part of the beauty of this design, actually, that you can kind of just do whatever you like with it. Do whatever works for you. So with that, I can now run that through there and there, and that's our front I/O done. Everything else, I think, if I remember rightly, is going to be down in this corner, so I can route those in there as well. And that locks in. And that one locks in. And I'll also do the bottom one as well. And there we go. So that is all of our kind of front I/O routed down towards the bottom now. Hopefully that is going to be long enough to fit into where it needs to be. So flip that over. So front I/O is that one there. Sorry, I do apologise for our son. I think he's been having too much sugar. I wonder if I can get that through those little holes there. That would be awesome if I can. Sorry, got my head in the way there. You can't see that, can you? So that just pops through there. So we've got our front panel I/O connections there. So I'll just pop those on. So we've got power switch, which is the second two. Power LED plus and minus, which will be the first two. So first one is power LED plus. The next one is going to be the minus next to it. Hang on. Reset switch goes underneath power switch, and hard drive LED plus and minus are pins 5 and 6. There we go. That's pretty tidy. Not sure if you can see that, but there you go. It's in there quite nicely. These are going to be challenging, I feel, when it comes to doing those. But yeah, should be okay. So next one is going to be that one and that one. And Dutch Jan said, question, why I don't like the case as Mike? The same case as Mike. I don't know. We're all different. That's what makes the world a wonderful place. You're more than welcome to disagree with me, but you're wrong.
I know that more than me.
Kath knows that, yeah. This might not be long enough.
Do you come out, Flame?
Where's the cutout? USB 3.0 headers are a pain. So it's just there, and I need to really route it up through there. And I think, yeah, I'm going to have to pull that out of there. So I'll put it into this little channel. I think if I unclip the channel and then give that a little bit more, that should give me a bit more of a fighting chance to pull that across there and through there. Actually, let's pull that out of there altogether, because then I can plug that into down there, and that keeps those wires out of the way at the same time. Yeah, that's good. Oops. Excuse fingers. And which way round does go? That way. So really I need to get a bit more of a turn on that one. Okay, and that's all good. Excellent. And it looks like we just about got enough room to get the Type C connector on there. I could undo it, give it a little bit more, I suppose. Probably should have done this one first. Oh, you little fiddly little bastards. There we go, there's the USB Type C in as well. So that's it, pretty cool. So, front panel audio, front buttons connected up, USB 3s, USB Type C. Pretty good. And actually in terms of cable management, not too shabby. All the leads are pretty much held to one side. I think if that cable there wasn't necessarily tucked in there and took a slightly more direct route along here, that would probably have gone in a lot easier. But I think I'm pretty happy with that now, so I can tighten that up a little bit. Well, yeah, what do you think overall? Let's have a look in the chat, see what you guys are thinking. I'll have a quick sit down. I'll go back to the main camera and see what you guys are thinking. So there we go. Not looking too bad so far. Something's rattling. Oh, it's not. That's not in. That needs tightening up. But yeah, that's not bad at all. I think it's going to look quite nice when it's done. I should, I suppose, check to make sure that top panel goes back on before I get too carried away. Yep. Nice. That all works great. Excellent. Right, I suppose I should do the power supply next. Now, power supply on this, I'm not going to go entirely crazy on this for multiple reasons. A, it's never going to be seen. And B, power supplies at the moment are what I would consider to be like outrageously expensive for what they are. So we're just going to use a relatively basic bronze power supply. This is Thermaltake's Smart BX3. No doubt if you've been on the channel long enough, you would have seen one of these at some point or other. They're actually not too bad. Whether or not I would say to get one of these over something like the AG range from MSI, or possibly some of the other brands like the some of the RM ranges, the refurbished ones are pretty decent at the moment from Corsair. I guess it depends what you have available locally near you, and obviously pricing is one of those key things, and depending when the tariffs kick in, which apparently the tariffs are due to kick in on Tuesday. So the first round of tariffs start on Tuesday, starting I think 25% for imports for Canada, for general imports, and 10% on energy. And then I think you've got the same for Brazil, or is it no, Mexico. Mexico and Canada, I think, are the first ones that it starts off with, purely because of the border situation. So yeah, I'm not going to get too involved in that. That's a way too politically charged hot potato. Now, the tariffs thing, a lot of people are saying the tariffs are a bad thing. A lot of people are saying the tariffs are a good thing. I have mixed opinions on it, because ultimately, whenever it comes down to tariffs and stuff like that, it's going to come down to how they're implemented and the kind of bargaining power the individual company's got. So ultimately, the tariffs are charged on the importer, not the exporter. So if you're an American company and you want to buy something from Canada, you can buy it, but you have to pay the tariff charge as an American company. So you can either at that point ask your Canadian company that you're buying from, say, look, we're being hit by tariffs, can you reduce the price so that we basically pay the same and you take a little bit of a hit? Or alternatively, they can shop elsewhere, just buy something from in America. That's kind of how it's supposed to work. Now clearly that is a very simplified view on the whole thing, and there are lots of other variables, and some things obviously you cannot buy elsewhere. You are in a captive market, so you have no choice to buy them. But it will still mean that companies that are affected by tariffs will be trying to negotiate better prices with the sellers. And if the sellers, obviously, they still want to sell stuff, because say, for instance, all of their stuff gets exported to the US, they are going to be in a position where they're going to want to try and keep their customers. So they will reduce prices in order to keep customers. So yeah, some may win, some may lose. It's very early doors. Until it's actually been implemented and been in effect for a while, I think it would be prudent to, at the very least, remain somewhat positive, because, well, there's no point trying to be negative all the time. Let me know what you think. If you think it's going to be the end of the world in the downturn of the economy and a surefire way of inflation, let me know. I'm interested to hear your thoughts. I genuinely am. And especially if you live, well, I had an argument with somebody online about this actually, and they were saying, well, you can't have an opinion because you're not an American. To which point I said, well, obviously, yeah, sorry, I forgot. Because America is such a tiny pissant country with no relevance for the rest of the world. Yeah, I totally get you. Obviously, I was being facetious, because whatever happens in America generally spills out into the rest of the economy. So even though I am not an American and people watching this are not Americans, it will at some point or other probably affect you, either in a positive or a negative way. So I think all of us have some say in basically what's going on. Whether our opinion is relevant or not, that's another matter altogether. But certainly I think we do have a voice. Okay, let me know what you think. I am generally interested. Like I said, we're at a point where trying to get hold of PC parts is getting harder and harder to get them at sensible prices. So we're kind of screwed regardless. So I think we'd be hard pressed for things to get much worse. But clearly that is definitely a potential. Sorry, I'm just squeezing the power supply in there. Whew. That was almost considered hard work. Right, I could do with pulling one of these panels off, I think, to get some more access here.
Bendy ink machine fan.
Oh. Bendy ink machine fan. Hello everyone, I am new here to your videos. Have been a great help. Just upgraded from AMD AM4 to AM5 platform today, and your videos are brilliant. Thanks, Mike. No worries, you're very welcome.
And good to see you.
Yeah, good to see you, yeah. Skystalker says, as a Canadian, I think it is a shakedown by a bully. I don't like bullies. I agree with where you're coming from there. It definitely does seem like a bullying tactic, but ultimately I think that's what businesses are all about regardless. Businesses are business. They're not supposed to be your friends. They're not attempting to be your friends. They're there to make money. And I guess, well, I don't know. It could work out for the best overall. It might not. I honestly don't know. I think there's not going to be a single person. It's like the whole Republican Democrat thing. Like, yes, sure. Not everybody thinks that it's the right thing. Not everybody thinks it's the wrong thing. Some people are going to be affected negatively. Some people are going to come out positively. So everyone has their own their own take on it, and they have their own personal things. Like if you work in a certain sector where you've just lost all your funding, clearly you think it's the end of the world. But for other people that are struggling by the borders or whatever, then maybe they think, well, this is finally a little bit of light at the end of the tunnel. It's hard to please everybody all the time. You'll never do it. And I guess that's the way identity politics works these days, that you have your your people, and those are the ones you tend to target. And if you're lucky enough that they are in a greater number than the opposition, then you remain in power. Again, these are very simplistic views by me, and I'm effectively just rambling, so don't take any of it too seriously. I am nowhere, I'm not even remotely close to being any form of pundit. But I genuinely do enjoy a political discussion, because I think a lot of times people tend to not bother discussing these things, or just scream and shout at each other, whereas I think discussing things in a calm and open way is a good thing to do for everybody. And I think the key thing is for us to all agree that no one's ever gonna please everybody. That's just not gonna happen. There'll be some winners and there'll be some losers. And that is always the case, no matter who you vote for or who is in power or who the political parties are always the winners. Yeah, the public are the losers. Rick H says, I agree, Mike. I'm not sure what you agree with, but yeah, if it's just discussing things openly and calmly and accepting the fact that there's winners and losers, like not everyone can win. Which is, I know, for some people, that's a very hard lesson to actually learn and to go along with. There always has to be a loser. That's unfortunately just the way the world is. Always has been, always will be. Can't see that ever changing personally. Until we get to some people say, oh, if only we had a thing like the Star Trek universe. Well, even that itself, there's winners and losers. Oh, this cable isn't going to reach. Can I take that up through there? I mistakenly tried to cable manage this power supply a little bit previously to preempt some of this cable disaster, Now if you had a modular power supply, it would be much easier because you can just put your cables in, get all that figured out, and then plug them into the power supply after. I should mention as well, this particular unit, you can use either a SFX or a full-size ATX power supply. Choice is yours on that, you can use either. I've chosen to use an ATX one, which does take up more room, but obviously ATX power supplies are massively cheaper than their kind of SFX counterparts, as you'd kind of expect. I do a little bit of cable management here. I don't think it really needs it, but I will do it nonetheless. You can't really see this, but I am cable managing, honestly. It's being done. Actually, these little cable routings on the side are excellent. I can't remember if I actually did a build in this when I got it for review. I'm not sure if I actually did. I think I just unboxed it and that was kind of it. I think now in hindsight I probably should have done more of it because it's actually quite a nice little case. Anyway, there we go. Seems like a lot of wasted space around the PSU. Now that is for good reason to some extent. The side panel on this side, there's mounting room for hard disk drives, so 2.5 inch drives on there. You've also got your CPU cooler, which is going to go on here. You've got air intake all around the sides and also on the bottom. You can, if you want to, you can mount another fan here as intake, so drawing air from this basement section in through the sort of CPU stack and towards the exhaust. So that is space that can be used there. Also, this section here pops out, if I can get to it. So this unclips, so if you've got a longer graphics card, it can sink down into the basement section there, which actually might be useful in this instance because I think we've got quite a big graphics card. And the side obviously is going to be the intake for the graphics card, so for it to pull in fresh air and potentially exhaust some as well at the same time. I'm not sure if I do need to remove that cover or not, but I guess it's nice that we have the option to be able to do so should we need to do. So what should I do next, do you think? Do you think GPU or the cooler? I'm still thinking about fans because I might still need some access to here, but I should still be able to get some access to there with the GPU installed, I think. So I might stick the GPU in next, I think. Let's try that.
Cooler.
Is that what we're saying? Cooler, is it? Just Ivory Wolfman, is it? All right, let's do the cooler.
AIO, buddy.
Let's do the AIO then. It's probably a good idea to do the AIO now. So the AIO we're using in this is going to be this one. So this is the Thermaltake TH280V2 Ultra EX ARGB Sync. Wow, I remember the name. These are, I was going to say the F word, drop an F-bomb, but I won't. These are awesome. This is really good cooler. I love these coolers, I really do. They are somewhat pricey, but if you do like the little LCD screens on there, then I think it's worth its weight in gold. The pump in this thing is basically silent, which is awesome. And the fans are very, very easy to set up and install because they're daisy chainable and magnetic as well. So it's just a really nice, easy to use setup with minimal wiring. The only thing which is additional really, I suppose, is power to the pump, which is using a USB, micro USB connection to the USB 2s on the bottom of the board, wherever they are hiding now, because it's confusing. Those are around there, so I'll probably need to wire that in as well. That's something which I did overlook actually. So that is good that I did this now. Also, we can mount the cooler to the actual rack as well before we put it into the case, or you can put it into the case first. I guess the choice is down to you, but yeah, these are really good. Potentially, if I come to sell this, which is highly likely I will, just try and clear some room, I might take out the cooler and put in one of those Thermaltake ones, which are a little bit cheaper. Get like a Thermaltake 240. Doesn't really need a 280. It's probably a little bit too glam really for this setup in this case, but potentially it might be one of those things which turns heads and people are like, Yeah, shit, man, I want that. That looks awesome. In which case, obviously, it's well worth it. It does add a lot to the price. So these are, I think these are the best part of like 120 quid, which for a 280mm AIO is a lot of money.
Mickey's Aquarium. It's not really gesture or nothing, but it's just a thank you.
Wow, nice cooler. Says Bendy Ink Machine. That's a really weird, strange name.
His name's Ben, he said.
We're calling him Binf.
He's called Ben. He said his name's Ben.
Oh, right. Oh, cheers, Ben. Hey, there's Hugh Luttrell. How you doing, Hugh? Long time no see.
Mickey's Aquariums.
Thanks, Mike. Few of your motherboard videos helped me in my new build. Did it in January. Sorry, I'm reading through the case there. So something which is a bit odd about this is the fact that we have to mount the tubes up, which I'm not a massive fan of doing, but I guess it is what it is. So it's not the end of the world. It'll be fine. We'll live with it. Now for this, we can undo the screws on the side and take out this mounting bracket. Then we can attach the cooler to this mounting bracket and then stick the whole thing back in. I don't know really if that makes this any easier or not, to be entirely honest with you. Because you still kind of have to mount the cooler to that anyway. So, yeah. Let's move some of these screws out of the way because I don't want to mix the screws up. I'm a little bit sad and a little bit anal when it comes to this kind of stuff, that I try to keep all of the screw bags and all the screws in the right stuff together, so that if for some reason I want to swap something over or I sell some of the parts, then I know that whoever has it is going to be getting all the right parts. That make sense?
Bendy Ink Machine says, my name is named after the computer game called Bendy and the Ink Machine.
Ah, okay. I wasn't aware that was a thing.
And our Waterman says, why wouldn't the AIO fit the other way?
What, tubes down?
I would imagine.
It probably would.
But
I've seen it in the pictures as that, and with the tubes down, I don't want air bubbles getting stuck. I'd rather have them audible at the top than being stuck in the loop somewhere and have to kind of rock it around. That probably isn't the best explanation really, but that's my theory and I'm sticking to it. Help me out, Kath. Tell him a joke.
get some just air cooler.
Get an air cooler. I would if I had one. 50 quid air are great, better than tower fan coolers, but the more money you spend, the better quality, says Craig. Yeah, I would agree with that. That is very true. Like the Thermaltake, I bought the Thermaltake before. I think did I buy a 240, and I reviewed it previously. And whether or not I was unlucky and got a bad one or whatever, I'm not sure. But the fan was absolutely like, oh, not the fan. Sorry, the pump. The pump was horrendous. Like I've had a one fell relatively recently, and it sounded the same. So yeah, I don't know what was going on there, but it didn't sound great. Thanos, how you doing, sir? Hey Mike, if I update the BIOS, can I install Windows 11 after without doing a format? Well, you can install Windows 11 without having to do a format anyway. I'm not too sure what or why that would make a difference, unless you've got your BIOS set to CSM for some reason, or you've got your TPM turned off, which you really shouldn't. Right, does this fit? Raj, what did the cats do when they realised they had a bad plan? They decided to catnip it in the bud. Oh God. Skystalker says, I've used more than 10 Thermaltake AIOs. They have all been great. Oh, you're a lucky thing. I didn't do so well myself, unfortunately.
Raj could take over from Crap Joke Friday.
Yeah, it's not a bad idea.
We don't have a Crap Joke Friday now, do we?
No.
Or do we?
Right, that fits. Yeah, and someone else did Crap Joke Friday this week. I'm trying to think who it was now. It was Papa Mav. Right, so now let's put the fans on. I have to think about this a little bit carefully because of cable management. I don't like the tubes at the top, to be honest.
We'll let air go into the pump.
Oh, well, it won't let air go into the pump because the pump is going to be the lower, so the air is going to naturally try and stick towards the top. If anything, it will gurgle a little bit. It shouldn't be too much of a problem. If it turns out to be a problem, I may potentially swap it out. Like I said, I'm probably going to take this out anyway and put a 240 Thermaltake in. Primarily because a lot of people actually on the video said, Mike, it's probably just a bad unit, you should get another one and try another one. And I think it's been long enough now since we did the last review that it would make sense to try and do that again now. So, yes, I agree. I am going to try and do that. Just trying to figure out my wiring here for my fans. Do I want the fan wiring to terminate at the bottom, or do I want it to terminate at the top? Because the top isn't the top anymore, is it? It's more the side. So, fan... See, that one's going there. That one's going there. I don't think it's going to make much difference, is it?
Skystalker, the pump should be below the radiator at once to avoid cavitation in the pump, reduces life and sounds like crap.
Yeah, the pump won't be at the top. It'll be roughly towards the middle. I don't think it will physically fit the other way around.
Tubes up can struggle with the expansion bubble getting in the way of the pump return. Tubes down traps the expansion bubble at the top of the radiator once you get the pump clear.
I will show you the box. Actually, I don't know if I can show you the box. There we go.
It's better.
There we go. Can you hear me now? Is that better?
No audio, talking to the wall.
La 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 la. There we go.
Sound's gone, still playing.
I know. It'll catch up in a minute. It's working now.
Sound back.
Sound back. There we go. So if you missed all that, what I was saying is Thermaltake are showing it on their box for the case with this actual cooler, with tubes up. So if it does turn out that it is a particularly bad idea, I will take it up with Thermaltake and I will publicly name and shame them for showing something on their box which is a bad idea. But I won't be able to know if it's a bad idea until I try it for myself. So before I go off on one and say that, I have actually mounted I had the TechWare VXR. I had that for ages, and it was the PC behind us for a long time, the little black square one, or like the kind of fish tank looking one. And that had about 2 or 3 different AIOs in them. All of them had it with tubes at the top, because obviously with that sort of design, the tubes aren't long enough to go at the bottom. And I ran those for, well, years, months. and mostly bench testing and stress testing, and they were absolutely fine. And that was the Fractal Celsius 360 or S360 or S36 or whatever it is. That was fine. And after that I used I think one of the Deep Cool LT 720 was it, I think. So there's been a couple that I've used in there with the same setup. So I don't think it's going to be, it's not going to be the end of the world. And they weren't actually, like on startup they would gurgle a little bit because the bubbles are at the top. But after that, they were fine. But I do take on board what you're saying. And I might actually try it the other way around as well. Just see how it turns out. So that is into the CPU header. We've also got our addressable RGB plugged into the RGB port. And I can pull those wires through towards the back for a little bit of cable management. And pull this in towards the unit now. Stick that in through there. Stick that in through there. And where's the little hooks? I'm not a fan of this design really. It would have been a lot easier, I think, to just leave it in there. Yeah, this isn't a very nice design. The kind of the little lip they've got on there isn't really big enough, or is it? Because it's catching on that on the yeah, it might be catching on the actual wiring for the fan now, or is it? Let me take that away. Right, that makes no difference. Oh, this is kind of frustrating. So for those of you probably can't see this for good reason, but there is actually some little tags that rest into like a little plate here. There we go. Right, there we go, that's tags in. So there's a very tiny little bit of metal at the top of the back of here, which just kind of catches in the wrong place. So stopping you from getting it kind of lined up properly. All of the tower series, no matter which one it is, all of them just have just a little quirks to them. And I guess like anything, they are constantly kind of changing the design and updating it and what have you to make it better. The original Tower 100 I didn't like much at all. But I think the Tower 200 addressed pretty much all the problems that were associated with that. And of course, being able to use ITX or micro ATX is massively beneficial because ITX boards are insanely expensive. Unless you buy some kind of Chinesium board on AliExpress, which then you kind of, you're sort of taking your life into your own hands a little bit. But if you look online, like you can pick up a micro ATX board these days, like a half decent one, B850, 70 quid, 80 quid, which in the grand scheme of things ain't a lot of money for a motherboard, especially considering what prices they're going for these days. Magnetic connector engaged. Well, is it round the right way? I don't think it is. Oh dear. This has turned out to be a pain in the proverbial. I knew I should have put it at the top. That's better. Mind you, it's a lot easier than what it would have been if it was a normal connector, I guess. So that is pretty much done. So actually you can see through the side there a little bit, can't you? So next I need to, No. I just thought of something. Right, if I put the AM4 bracket on there, I've got a feeling I can't tighten it up because it's going to crush against the side of the radiator there. Oh no, 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 no. Right, that clicks into place there. So that is going to be something like that. Yeah, getting those screws in is going to be very tight. So I might have to undo the radiator again and just lean it out a little bit. And where is the, yeah, so that is going to be there. It's going to have that cable there in a really awkward place for the USB. Okay. I'll deal with that when it comes to it. I just want to get this finished now. It's dragging on a bit. Hey ho. What time is it anyway? I have no idea what the time is. 10:30, okay. Yep, I did say that.
10:30.
10:30. And all's crap. It's actually getting a bit sweaty in here now. It's actually cooler in here than what it is normally. It's 21.6 degrees Celsius and only 54% humidity. But it feels a lot worse than that. Right, thermal paste time. Where is thermal paste? Got some MX4, that'll be absolutely fine.
Just one of these cheesy things.
No thanks. Just do some blobs on there, that'll be fine. I'm not going to get too overexcited about where or not the thermal paste is attached. So I'm going to do the overhead view because I want to lie this down now. And hopefully you can still see some of what is going on. Put that to one side for now. So hopefully, oh, that bloody thing's turned off. Turn on, you shithead. Position number 1. There we go. Come back soon. There we go. That's visible. Okie doke. So yeah, if you look down through, you can kind of get an idea of what I'm talking about in terms of not being able to get to those bits there. So I might have to undo these screws again, just so I can like fold the AIO out temporarily.
Is it still going?
Yeah. Should be. So we're going to go kind of in like that. I get one side latched, good. Other side latched. Oh, you bastard. Actually, did I leave a... No. I wondered if I left a sticker on the bottom. There we go. Right, that's clipped in. Nice. So actually saying that, I was a little bit concerned that... Oh, the sound went a bit funny then. 1, 2... Is it too loud, the sound, or is it okay? Anyone complaining about the volume?
Don't know. Our Wolfman set. Normally the pump would have been at the top if the motherboard was in the normal position. CTE puts the CPU in the middle, so it makes the issue not an issue.
Oh, got you.
But then I'm got caught up on that. No, all good.
1, 2, 3. Yeah, I thought that was going to be a problem there, but it's turned out to be okay. Oh, that was really off there. Must have done that very badly. Right, with AIO coolers, what I do now is I do them up to the sort of the stop point. then undo them a turn. Because these AM5 processors even don't like the extra tension on the board. Just wondering if I've got room to get to the AIO header. Should be fine. So the AI pump header is coming out through there. So I'm just going to route that down underneath, and there's more than enough room to take this out through the side, and then plug it in to the AIO header. Surprisingly, actually, everything's got pretty good access in here, which I wasn't necessarily expecting. You often think that these cases are being like super cramped and not very easy to work in. It's actually not too bad.
Can the AIO be moved if it's 240? Is it on rails?
The AIO can be moved if needed, yeah. It's on a rail system, so you can slide it kind of up and down a little bit. There's a little bit of wiggle room there, about probably about an inch or so in either direction. So yeah, I think that's going to work out okay. No doubt we'll see as time goes on, and I'll have to probably change the orientation in the software for the pump display. But yeah, I think we're getting somewhere. And I can get rid of pretty much all of that cabling. I don't really need that now. And go back into the bag, and for all intents and purposes, oh actually, I'll tell you what, I do need the USB cable. So I'll quickly pull that out of there. But the rest of it I'll put back in the bag. Chuck that in there. So yeah, what are you thinking so far? I don't mind it. For a nice little PC. And actually, this is going to be quite useful because the graphics card which is going in here is going to be the Radeon 6800, which I've had for ages, but I've never actually done a review on. So being that now we are in the era of graphics cards costing basically body parts, it's probably actually a really good time to do a review on a slightly older graphics card. One that actually has some value, or is actually kind of like a sensible purchase. Now the problem with this is I have to plug this in to a rather awkward place, which is on the side there. So that goes in there. What I might have to do is attach that to the cables there and run it up through. Or do I run it down along the back of the graphics card and out through the top? Yeah, that actually might be the better option. The only other option really is then run it down the back of the graphics card, out through here, and then up through into the back. Maybe I'll put the graphics card in first, and we'll see. Hey Rick Lakes, how you doing? Nice to see you. Now this graphics card, actually I haven't got the graphics card out yet. Let's get the graphics card out. So graphics card, XFX Swift 319. This is a 16 gig PCI Express Gen 4 Radeon RX 6800. Which I bought this absolutely ages ago, and I used it for the video editing for a while. Then I swapped it out for, I think it was, I can't remember if it was the RTX 2060 or 3060 Ti that I swapped it out for. But because of using Premiere, for most people you probably aware, Adobe Premiere absolutely detests AMD graphics cards for some bizarre reason. So yeah, there you go. What's that? Skystalker says those hoses are a bit long, better than a bit short. Yeah, that is true. Yeah, it's nothing worse than having cables which are too bloody short. Drives you mad. So are we going to get that in there without removing that? I don't think so. No, so that is going to have to come out, which actually benefits us in this instance, because then we can use that spare bit of area to run our cable through. It needs to be in the down position. Has that gone in? Oh, it's catching on that, isn't it? Not sure if that's gone in. No, it hasn't. The bloody graphics card holder's in the way. Oh, of all the daft things. Right, can that be moved easily? Probably. Right. There is a GPU holder here at the bottom, which looks like it's a little bit too big, and is actually getting in the way rather than doing what it's meant to do. It's just catching on the graphics card. Yeah, that's not a good idea. I wonder if I can get it out now. Oh, come on. It's in that awkward thing now where it's kind of half in and half out. Actually, did that go in? No. So yeah, that didn't go in very well at all. So this bit here is in the wrong position, and it's actually catching on the graphics card. Can you see the line of that? That is supposed to be a graphics card holder. I got a sneaking suspicion that I heard, or not that I heard, I'm pretty sure I said in the review that that was in a bit of a daft place. It won't come out now. How does that come out? Let's flip this over. Can I get access to that at the back? Yes, so there's a couple of screws there. So if I undo those screws, that should fall out. And we don't really need it at all. iWolfman says, did you hear the Asus Q release was damaging some graphics cards? Now there is a shock. I don't know what it is with modern computer stuff, that manufacturers just seem to be hell-bent on trying all these new, weird and wonderful technologies to make our lives easier, but basically end up just nosing things up. It's like, just stop it.
So where is the pump in that setup?
It's in the normal place.
In the cold plate?
Yeah. Right, graphics card brackets gone. Stupid thing. Bit of cable management's there at some point. There's the graphics card bracket. Now nicely out of the way. And now we'll try take two. See if we can get this sucker in. Yes, much better. I don't know why I've got this. Oh, that really large screw is from there. And these are from there, and I can put that one back in there. So you could quite easily get, well, they say that you can fit a 4090 in here, but I've never had a 4090, so I couldn't tell you. Yeah, so oh, balls. Someone's saying there, yeah, friction. Who knew? I know, it's just bizarre. I see very, very often very kind of questionable design ideas. It's like, I don't understand. Like, at what point did someone in the design process go, yeah, this is great. That's going to work really well. And someone like who actually builds computers rather than designing them would be like, well, hang on, what happens when you want to do such and such? Oh yeah, of course, yeah, friction. It's like the Intel 12-volt high power. It's like, who in their right mind thought it would be a great idea to run an absolute shitload of voltage and wattage through tiny little pissant cables, which don't flex. It's like, that's not going to go wrong.
Dave wants to know if you've finished yet.
I haven't yet, Dave, I'm afraid to say.
Oh.
Oh. Right, so that cable, I think, is going to run down the back of there. And we'll take that out through the back. And then I can plug that into the header at the bottom. The other cable on here, if you're wondering why there's two USBs on here, is because you can have a front panel display as well with various different graphics and logos, should that be a thing which you like. Yeah, that's nice. That USB's gone right under there, never to be seen again. And then those pipes can go back down there just to give that a nice swoosh. Yeah, not bad. I'm kind of liking that. I'm not sure if you can see it on there, but yeah, I think that kind of works.
Dutch Jan.
Dutch Jan. Dutch Jan. Question, Mike, have you seen the 1 hour video of Lewis Rossman on Linus? If so, any thoughts on that?
Wait, about half an hour if he took his fabrics out.
Yeah, the Rossman video. That's an interesting one. I got to be honest with you. I have mixed thoughts on Lewis Rossman. If I'm honest,
Louis, isn't it?
Louis, or whatever he wants to call himself, I don't care. He
Might be Lewis.
he's a strange cat, that's for sure. I
on you next.
Yeah,
fucking pipes up the wrong way.
I honestly don't know what to say about him. I think his heart's in the right place, but he's I don't know. Yeah, I think he's like a little bit OTT, and he is obviously very, very opinionated. That's fine. Like, he's got his own YouTube channel and he's very successful, and he's well within his rights to have an opinion. But he seems to have his opinion, and he kind of says the same thing over and over. Like, that 1 hour video could have been 10 minutes long, easily. He just repeated the same things kind of over and over, which I guess if he needed it as like a cathartic thing to get it off his chest, then I get it. But it was a little bit much, really. And some of the things, no doubt, will end up being shown as being untrue or disingenuous or out of context or whatever. Honestly, I really don't care too much. Both Linus and... Is my mic peaking, like, massively? I keep on getting red bars on my microphone. Is that peaking now? No? My volume okay? Sky says he tends to be very black and white and likes to hear his own voice. Means well, but for the most part, yeah. I think so. You sound fine. Okay. Just, yeah, weirdly, the stream mic is like... I look round at the OBS and it's just in the red. Oh, well. Anyway. What was I saying? Okay, yeah. Lewis Rossman, like a few other people have said, it would appear that he's coming from a place of genuine, I guess, kind of almost desperation, where he's like just so pissed off with the whole thing, and he doesn't like to see injustices, which none of us do, let's be honest. No one particularly likes to see that sort of stuff happening. But ultimately it does happen, so it's kind of, that's life, Jack, kind of thing. Yeah, I don't know. Probably he's a decent guy. Whether or not I would take his word for everything he says, maybe not so much. And I've just realised I put this in, and I should have put the fan in first. Although I haven't got room to put the fan in now anyway, so it's going to have to kind of go there. And is that going to reach around into there? I bet that's not going to reach, is it? Right, I might not bother with the top fan at the moment. That can be a job for a later day. Because it's starting to grate somewhat. I just want to get this finished now. Right, let's get the USB side on, or the USB front panel connector. Sorry, not USB. USB header, I should say. So where is the USB header? USB headers are there. So I want to run this back out through underneath. Then I'm going to take it up through there. And then I can just put that in there. Shame they don't do right angled versions of this actually. I wish the blocked off pin, that one there. So that isn't going to be the neatest, but I think it will be it'll be sufficient. That was a good word, sufficient. Yeah, well, it's not going to go anywhere, is it? That'll be okay. Wish I could have kind of stuck that down somehow, really. Not really anything under there. I think I'm just being a bit pedantic now. I'm being a pedant. Oh, come on. I've twisted the streams now. Right, that'll do. That spins, that spins, that spins. Nothing's catching. Happy days. Right, get the side panel on quick.
Will it work, Dave?
Will it work? Will it feck? Oh, I suppose I should put some power into the graphics card. Because these graphics cards, they're pretty good these days, like modern graphics cards, but they do get a little bit peeved off if you don't stick a bit of juice in them. So how am I going to run the power in? I suppose I'll just run it in from the bottom here. Yeah, I think that'll be fine. This particular graphics card requires two 8-pin connectors. The power supply that I've got is only a 750 watt and only has one block with two, so I am going to be daisy chaining this, which isn't ideal. Before you start screaming at me in the chat, I know this isn't like the optimum way of doing it, but for now it is what I'm going to do. That's fine. That is moderately happy. I'll put a little bit of a cable tie on there just to hold that out of the way. Or at least bunch it together. Nice. And then twist that round so it can't be seen too easily. Then run that off to the side. Yeah, that's pretty slick. I like that. So I don't think we need to really access any of these other ports now. So start putting some of these back together. That's clearly not the right one. Oh, loads of screws there. Go on then. So to start with, this is just going to be set up with the only exhaust being the actual radiator itself. So we're not going to have any other form of induction or exhaust. That is going to be it. And I probably will put some more fans and stuff in at a slightly later date. I may actually order some fans specifically for this rather than putting these expensive Thermaltake ones in. I'm going to order a couple of slightly cheaper models online. They want wireless headers. Arnold, gee, that would be an awesome thing. I would love some wireless headers. That is definitely something which I need in my life. Right, so side panel uno. Yeah, the bit of a gap there, or at least it appeared to be. Flip that over. Of course, none of this down here we're actually going to see anyway. So, like, it's basically hidden out of the way. You'll never know half of that wiring's there. And there's a little bit of cable management to do here. I'm not going to waste my time doing it now. Actually, saying that, it's pretty easy in here, isn't it? So, yeah, I could do that. So, the cable channels on here are actually pretty useful. So you can just pop those out, pop your cables in there.
I think someone's going to check you've done it right.
Dave's going to be doing some marking very shortly. Not marking his territory, I hope. All right, Davey boy.
How's it going, Dave? Has he done it right?
So, cable management wise, that looks pretty slick.
What do you reckon, Dave?
I think you'd have to agree. Well, you don't have to. You can disagree all you like. But I will not listen to you. And I will go la la la. Looks great to me. Yeah, these little cable channels are awesome. They make life a lot easier for tucking wires out of the way. So now it's got those USBs down there. Look at that. That's pretty damn slick, isn't it? Come on. Like, give me a break. It's hard to be much better than that. Oh, I forgot. There's an exhaust fan on here which I haven't connected up. I'll do that later. When I say later, that means basically never. It fits. To be honest with you, that fan is actually pointless there. And last of all, what do we do on the top?
Put Dave.
Put Dave on the top. This actually has a built-in filter as well, so you can actually remove this. Oh, I never get this right. There's a little locking tab. There you go. There we go. So you can put that on first of all if you wanted to, just to make sure that you're kind of objectively clearing all the wiring. And actually, while we're in this position, I'll show you how this is wired up. So obviously, to connect up your things like your HDMIs and all that kind of stuff, you do it through the top. So you've got these two channels here from the back. So you just throw your cables in from there. So let me grab a cable. And so grab an HDMI, you plug that through there, you then work out which one of these is your HDMI, which is not that one. It's not that one. Is it going to be that one? Nope. It's going to be the last one, isn't it? You little bastard. For want of a better word. Come on. Right, so that goes in through there. So you can plug that in. There we go. So there is our HDMI cable in. If you want to plug in a keyboard and mouse, obviously you can do that in through there as well. Have I got another wireless keyboard and mouse I can plug in quickly? Don't think I have. Oh, yeah, I do. Be back in a second. Bear with. What's he doing? Come on, Dave. So for things like your USB peripherals, just plug those in. So you can route them through there if you want to. I'm just going to use a wireless dongle in there with the Logitech K400 Plus. And that is kind of it. So all your I/O goes in the top, routes straight through the bottom there. You can take it all the way through the bottom if you want to, inside the case, and then out through the very bottom. That is an option if you want to, but you do you. And there is basically the top. So that is your exhaust there, as you kind of would expect. What the feck is that? Oh. Sorry, I just found a piece and I was like, what the hell is that?
No, it was like, what the fuck is that? You said.
What the fuck? What the actual? Where did I put the adjuster for the graphics card? Oh, there it is. Yeah, I had this bit. I was like, well, I got the screw there, so why does that not work? But there's a little bit underneath which I didn't attach. Where's my seat? Let me sit down. Anyway, it's finished, and it probably worked. Next thing you'll be wanting me to fire the damn thing up. So how you got people got homes to go to? Let's have a look. See what people say. Goes through the grommet on the side of the case. Yeah, you can take it in through. There's loads of different holes there, so you can do it however you want to, really. Not the case for me, full stop, says Skystalker. It's hard to work in, and it is. Yeah, it's not the simplest of things to work in. That's for sure, 100%. But again, it's down to what the individual wants. Some people like to have the kind of a little bit of difference going on, a little bit of a challenge, and Lord knows it can be a challenge. It's an unusual look, I'll be honest with you. I need a power cable. It does actually come with two included fans. So one should be at the top, one's at the back as a default, but it's yeah, I don't want to use the standard fans, just the crap ones. Well, they're not crap, but you know, they're not RGB, and I would prefer to have a little bit of extra lighting in there just to kind of shine down through over the system. But I don't think it's entirely necessary, but I think it would be nice and just have a little bit more lighting on there. So I'm going to try and get some cheap either 120s or 140s, probably 140s I think would be preferable. And yeah, we can see what it all looks like. So I'm going to try and fire this darn thing up, and we'll see if it actually works. Plug that in, and then I lose the signal. Is it going to come back? Right. Can you turn the camera on and off again? You probably lost sight and sound.
Is it that one there, yeah?
Yeah. We're back. Yay, there we go, we're back. Dodgy electrics, what can I say? And the power supply wasn't even turned on. I just realised actually I've got that bloody light facing right at me.
Face it right at me instead.
Let's face it right at Kath instead. It does get a bit bright. So, is it going to fire up, and is it going to look any good? Let's find out. Oh, it fired up. Let's start. Oh, there's a hell of a draft going through there now. Motherboard LEDs are going through their cycle. It's quite nice. I like it. You can hear the pump kicking in.
Right.
Obviously, the Thermaltake logo is round the wrong way. the software you can go in and change that 90 degrees. So it obviously reads out the right place, but yeah, I don't think that looks too bad at all. And actually, that's relatively subtle RGB, I think.
Like got a red light on?
Yeah, I think it is. Yeah, it's just going through the RAM training. It's currently on white, so that means it's in boot. So, yeah, it's going round and round and round. I'll plug it in just so you can see that it has worked. It's probably going to be in the bar screen. HDMI 3. I think that's going to be the one. HDMI 3. Where's my thing? HDMI 3.
Oh, sorry, Dave.
Is it still cycling through? Oh yeah, sorry, it's still cycling through. Green, white. Come on, give me a signal. Give me a sign. There we go. Yay. And how's about that? How's about that then? It worked.
Oh, sorry, Craig. I didn't mean to make you jump. Craig says my doorbell makes my TV flicker. My old car remote used to ring my nan's doorbell. When I locked the car, a doorbell would go off. But a different tune to what it usually did.
So, there we go. It's working. You can see it fired up and went into Windows, which is happy days. Looks like it's trying to install drivers at the moment. Or doing something. But yeah, I think it's pretty quiet. Considering it's just gone into Windows and it's probably loading drivers and stuff. Actually, like, right next to it, you can... Are they actually spinning? Oh, yeah, they are. I always do that. But I think if you're looking for something which goes on your desk, which isn't going to take up a great deal of room, like if you think about the actual footprint of this, we're looking at, I'm guessing that's about 12, 13 inches. Yeah, 12 inches. So 1 foot by, if you take into account the power cable as well, another like 12 inches. So it's actually 11 inches deep, but 12 inches wide. That's what she said. In terms of height, it is a ruler and a bit. So 16 plus 5, so it's 21. So 21 inches tall.
Wow, you've worked that out in advance, didn't you?
Yeah, I read the cheat sheet. Yeah, so it's pretty cool. I like it. And the fact that you got like the front I/O, got your USB Type C, got two, you got your reset button, you got your USBs Type A's, 5 gigabit per second, you got your 10 gigabit per second USB Type C. It's pretty nice. If you want a smallish desktop PC, but you want to stack a bunch of powerful bits in there, like obviously you've seen this card, it's a 3-slot card. It's fitted in there pretty easily, and there's room for a bigger card if you wanted to. That choice is kind of obviously down to the individual, what you want to put in here. It's, oh, sorry, you've got to pop that off the top first. So you could put a much larger graphics card in there if you wanted to. This section on the side is also removable, so there's a screw there. That bit of plastic can come out as well. So if you've got a really chunky boy, gives you a bit more room, or if you just want to see more of the graphics card, you can take that out as well. It's quite handy because it covers up some of the wiring down there, but each to their own, however you want to do it. Yeah, I kind of like it. I'm not sure if it would be suitable for me in here because of obviously needing access to things like USB ports and stuff when I'm moving computers around. But for certain instances, like in a workplace or you've got a small desk, whatever, and you're literally just going to build your computer and just play games on it and not touch it or do stuff with it, I think it's a pretty decent shout. I honestly do. Considering the footprint as well, like a micro ATX case, a 3-slot graphics card, a 280mm AIO, plus room for more fans, top, bottom and sides, in basically like a 1 foot square cube. That's hard to beat, it really is. Eyebrows falling out. See what you guys are thinking. Viali says actually looks good. And he says you also got to get your electrics sorted out. Yeah, this is true. Wired out is pretty fast. Let's see the CPU temps. That's a good idea actually. Let me have a look on the CPU temps. If I go to HDMI 3, I'm probably going to have to make that screen a bit smaller because the resolution is probably defaulted to 4K. Let's see, here we go. Right click, display settings. Christ, I can barely see this. I can't even see where it says it. Have I gone into the wrong bit? Oh, because the graphics drivers aren't installed, are they? Yeah, display resolution is grayed out. Where is my...
How you doing, Dave?
Device manager. This feels a bit sluggish actually, so I bet it's got... Oh yeah, Microsoft Basic Display Adapter, so it hasn't got any of the drivers installed at the moment, so I'll have to plug in a network card, hang on, or a network cable, if I can find one. And the only problem is with finding a network cable is actually then being able to plug it in. Right, we want some AMD driver action. Oh, I've gone in. Oh, clicking on the wrong thing. Where's the mouse there? Automatic driver installer. Go on, go for it. No doubt it will think about it at some point. Let me close that window down there. I'm not too sure what was on this system previously. Probably an AMD Intel setup by the look of it. Let's see, we'll have a quick look at what the temperatures are like on the CPU at the moment anyway. This will be without any power management or drivers running. So we can see hardware monitor, scroll up. So currently at about 50, what's that, 53, 50? So it's installing drivers at the moment, so it's under a little bit of load, and I haven't tweaked any of the BIOS or done the drivers or anything, so I think that's probably not too bad. None of the fans are set up correctly either. So at the moment it's saying CPU fan, yeah, the AIO is only running at like 1000 RPM. There we go, drivers are installing, I think. Either that or it's just completely crashed. I think looks like drivers are installing. Yeah, there we go. So graphics drivers are installed now. So display settings. There we go. Let's get some 1080p going. That's better. Awesome. And let's just check advanced display, because I think it's running at 30 Hertz. Yeah, felt like it, because it's running through the capture card. It won't run at its best speeds. Yeah, that's better. Okay, so I'll close that down now. So it's still installing drivers and stuff. least it's supposed to be. ASRock. I'm not sure if it's installed in it or not. I don't think it is. And let's close that, and then I have to reopen it so it doesn't look absolutely bonkers. Hopefully the text will be the right size now. There we go. So where is the CPU? No, I've gone the wrong way. Yeah, so CPU package at the moment is in the, like the 40s, well, upper 40s, 41. Seems to be coming down. I guess Windows isn't doing a lot, so it is kind of idling at the moment. So yeah, AMD 7700 idling at around about, sort of, what's that, 37 on the package and dropping. It looks like it is installing drivers in the background. Yeah, so you can see the temperature spiking here, there, and everywhere. That's pretty cool. Could be, well, that's basically what I would look for. Yeah, probably doing some Windows updates as well in the background, just reading some of your chat there. Just reading that. Channel member costs. Dutch Jan says, not so many at 12 by 12 by 24 inches. Well, it is if you think about it. Like for a micro ATX case, I don't think you'll find any other micro ATX cases which will allow a large graphics card and an ATX power supply that will fit into a smaller footprint.
Raj is on.
And I know because I've looked. Cheers, Raj. All the best. Now they have spanners. Spanners are mods. So yeah, Windows updates are going on. Oh, Windows updates advanced optional. Shrek says, what's up, Mike and Kath? Job has me forgetting it's Saturday. It is Saturday. Our Portier says, do any micro ATX motherboards fit in here? Or is there also a difference in size? I think, to be honest with you, it's probably going to be any drive. Any motherboard. Because this, I thought, when I actually unboxed it, it did seem to be one of the larger micro ATX boards. But there is actually room in this case for larger boards. So you could get a bigger board in here, one that takes the 8 standoffs rather than just the 6. So yeah, you could put a bigger board in here if you wanted to. Corsair 2000 is... Corsair 2000. What's the Corsair 2000? Is that a cube as well? I think oh yeah, the Corsair 2000. Yeah, but that... Isn't that like really hard work? But yeah, I get where you're coming from. The Corsair 2000 is only mini ITX. That's a good point. This is micro ATX, which opens up a lot more possibilities and also much, much cheaper motherboards, like by a significant margin. Craig says, would a A520M-A Pro fit in that case? Yes. Yeah, you wouldn't have a problem with that. Right, yeah, John Davison says, of course, their 200D is the ITX tower. So what's the 2000? I might have to look into that, but yeah, I think in terms of its kind of physical footprint, I think there's a lot going on here. Like, standard ATX power supply, regular motherboard micro ATX, pretty much any graphics card you want up to like a 4090, maybe even a 5090. They're basically the same sort of thing for most intents and purposes anyway. Relatively easy to work on, very good airflow. And even with this, we've got this set up, and granted the front panel isn't on, so it is almost open air. But saying that, every single side is ventilated and also mesh filtered as well. So it's good for dust. It's also good if you want to remove the filters to get a bit more airflow. And it's all very modular as well, so you can just undo things, screws at the bottom, pull panels off, etc. The only thing I don't like about it, if I'm completely honest with you, is, well, two things, but they both affect the same thing. The fact that the motherboard is rotated 90 degrees really, really freaks me out. Not used to it, or not able to cope with that very well at all. And also the I/O being at the top. For me personally, the I/O at the top is a little bit of a downer. I would much preferred if they'd maybe even wired in something somehow like its own internal extension, so that you plug in all the I/O at the top and it gets routed down to the bottom by the power supply, like in the normal position. For me, that would make a lot more sense. But having said that, if you're having this maybe on a small plinth next to your desk, your I/O is going to be kind of almost at your desk level anyway. So the cables are going to be almost like advantageous. But yeah, that is arguably the biggest downside of it, the way the cables plug in. But again, if you're not going to keep on unplugging and plugging stuff, it isn't the end of the world. And also, if you're just plugging in things like USB flash drives or memory cards, you've got the ports on the front, which are nice and easy to access. So, in fact, they're very easy to access because they're visible as well. Whereas some cases, you're kind of like scrubbing around on the top to like, where is the USB? You have to like stand up. Oh, there it is, plug it in. That sort of thing. Whereas with this, it's relatively easily visible, as are the power buttons, and also, I guess the headset and mic jacks, those kind of would have been nice to have been routed to the bottom again, like I said. Like, maybe if they had this panel at the bottom, that might be better. But then some people might want to put this on a floor. Yeah, I guess there's various ways. I suppose if you could have it so that it was able to take that panel out and put it into here, like there was like a little, like Lian Li do, so you can move it from the top to the bottom if you want to. That sort of thing would be very good. So you could just put it in there to suit the individual. But then all of that costs money, and I guess they've done some type of kind of research and development on this and seeing what people think about it. They've gone with what was the more kind of sensible or more popular or just the more cost effective. And overall, I think it looks really good. It's different as well. And if you want something which doesn't look like every other box or every other fish tank style case, I think this definitely ticks that box. Let's take some last questions and then we'll wrap things up for tonight, I think. Nick Barnes says, I wonder why Thermaltake advertised this as ITX. Yeah, I never understood that, because even on the board itself, the case, if you watch the review of this, you'll see the footage. It actually says M for Micro ATX on the standoff pillars. It's got I for ITX and M for MTX. Yeah, Micro ATX. So it does say on the actual thing it is, but they never highly kind of publicised it was for Micro ATX for some reason. I don't understand. It's very odd. David Endo says, should have external I/O at the side or back. Yep, I agree with that. Viali says, I prefer I/O at the bottom, but then my PC is on my desk. Yeah, that's like, I know what I mean, because like if your PC is on a desk, you kind of want it a bit lower down. But then if your PC is on the side or a plinth or on the floor, then the kind of, it does make sense where it is, I suppose. Okay. Let's see how we're doing with the temps. Been running a little while now. We still haven't installed the drivers. That's great. Package temperature still at about 40 degrees there. Just chilling. It's not too bad. Again, with the drivers in, it'll probably be better. Let's do Windows Update. Oh, I'm using the wrong mouse. They all say you can never have enough mice, but I really disagree.
Wait, can you get off my book, please?
Oh, there is loads of downloads and updates going, so yeah, that's going to take bloody ages, isn't it? Downloading, updating, AMD, blah, 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 blah. Mouse, Intel Net, Christ, there's all sorts of stuff downloading there. Install. Yeah, pending restart, etc., etc. So there's a whole bunch of things that could take forever. So I'm probably not going to go through all that. Yeah, needs chipset drivers, damn right. Might have to put USB drivers on a USB stick. It'll be fine once the updates are done. Like I said, I am going to be using this. Thanks, Pops. I am going to be using this as a test bench because I need to do the review on the graphics card, which I've never got around to doing. Like I said, at the moment, RX 6800 is a really good card. It doesn't need a great deal of power. It's got 16 gigs of RAM. It's pretty decent in terms of power-wise, and it isn't that far off the 6800 XT in terms of performance, but it does it at much lower wattage and also a much lower price. So if you want to have like a smaller form factor PC where you're a little bit more concerned about things getting a bit hot or using a bit too much power, then it's actually a really nice graphics card. And yeah, I don't know why I never got around to doing a video on it. I'm sure I did, but maybe I didn't. Maybe I did an unboxing, but I didn't do the actual review. Anyway, regardless. Anyway, I think that's going to wrap this one up. Thank you all so much for joining us on tonight's stream. Hopefully you've enjoyed it. Obviously, if you have, smash the like button. If you haven't already, that would be appreciated. And as always, Kath and I would like to thank you all for your continued support and faith in our channel, and for joining us in our extended communities outside of YouTube, both in our Discord and just people that we know kind of IRL. That's always fun. People are always strange in real life. Strange, very strange. Anyway, I'm digressing now. Just make sure there's no more comments in there I need to address. But yeah, hopefully you've all had a bit of entertainment. You've had a bit of fun. You've watched a bit of PC building. Like I said, going forward with things like reviews and basically covering kind of like the new technology stuff, I am going to try and steer away from the majority of it. Now, when the 5070 comes out, depending what the end pricing is going to be and what the performance is like, I don't know, I might try and get one. If I can sell this PC and get a bit of income or move on some other graphics cards, I might do it just to see what it's like. I personally don't think it's worth the money, but I know there's going to be a lot of you which are on that kind of that stepping stone where you've kind of got a pretty decent graphics card already, like an older 1080 Ti or like a 3080. And maybe you're thinking about what is the next step. So for that reason, I might get one. Probably not from Scan, but you know, never know. But we'll see what happens there. Yeah, so that's kind of where we are with that. If you're interested in the PC and you would like to buy it and you're nearby Bristol, or you can travel to Bristol to pick it up, I will be listing this in the Facebook Marketplace, and also I'll be listing it in our Discord. So if you're interested, there will be a slight discount for Discord members. I'm not sure exactly how much the discount will be, but we'll do it a bit cheaper for Discord members if you're interested. And potentially you'll need to collect it as well, because I don't really fancy putting this thing in the UK Postal Service because it's bloody awful. Although I think actually this will probably survive because it's actually got a pretty decent box as well. So maybe I might be able to post it as well. Sorry, Kath.
And we're only releasing videos.
Yes, that was the other thing. At the moment, potentially there may only be a new video every other day. So we'll be looking at Mondays, Wednesdays and Fridays for video releases. Plus,
if we get more content, then it'll be back. But
plus the live stream on a Saturday. If there's any additional stuff that we want to cover, or any little short-ish videos or handy little things, which I think, oh yeah, we could do a video on that to build things back up again, then we'll maybe slot in a couple of extra videos like in the Tuesday and Thursday. But as it stands at the moment, the PC market is in such a bizarre place. I'm really struggling to find things that actually make sense to review or even to kind of to buy in to show you guys. But again, if you know of anything or there's stuff that you would like us to review and you think is a sensible price and we can get hold of it, then please do let us know. Various options doing that, like I said, Mike at mikesunboxing.com. Alternatively, you can reach to us from the comments section in videos or Discord as well, obviously. Or if you just want to send us something, if you got something and you like it and you're thinking, well, I'd like to see what Mike thinks of this, if you want to get in touch and send us a donation, obviously you're more than welcome to. That is entirely up to you. I may not be favourably minded towards that if it's something which I don't see the value in or whatever, or my opinion differs to yours and you think it's a great product and I don't. So just being warned, just because you send something to me doesn't automatically mean I'm going to say it's bloody great, because I can't do that. I'll just have to say it as I think. I won't be unkind, but I will point out things which I personally don't like. So I want to be aware. I'm not going to be a shill. I'm not just going to take things and review them just for the sake of reviewing them and be all happy and smiley. I'm just going to give you the raw facts, as I've always tried to do, and we'll try and continue to always do that. But that has been the problem with things getting more and more expensive. I feel it's just getting further and further away from our core values, or at least my own personal principles of trying to keep things not like ridiculously cheap, but there is a point of diminishing returns. And when you get to that point, I just don't want to cross that line. Anyway, hopefully, yeah, that's it. Ben used to live in Bristol. Oh, you said love in Bristol. Live and love, I hope. Anyway, thanks all for watching. Hopefully you've had a great evening. If you have, like, do all the usual YouTube stuff. I've said that already. Thank you all so much for your continued support and contributions. It is much appreciated. And look out for a new video on Monday morning. That's going to wrap this stream up. I've been Mike. This is Mike's Unboxing Reviews and How To. And hopefully we'll catch you in the very next video. Thanks for watching and have a fantastic rest of your weekend. Cheerio. I wonder if this button's going to work.